South Carolina began some 92 years ago, all of the games were played on Thursday afternoons, better known as Big Thursday back then. But starting in 1959, Clemson decided enough was enough. They wanted the games to switch in alternate years to Clemson. All of the games prior to 1959 had been played at Carolina Stadium in Columbia. But Frank Howard kissed that stadium goodbye in 1959. And now a new tradition begins. Thursday night at 7:30 p.m., the Army ROTC decided to drum the beat to beat South Carolina. And Joe Morrison had to bring his Gamecocks in here to Memorial Stadium yesterday afternoon with that racket in the background. He has won and tied in each of the last 2 games against Clemson, thanks largely to his sophomore place kicker, Colin Mackey. For Danny Ford, his teams have won 5 of 9 games against South Carolina, but they lost last year. And his freshman place kicker, Chris Gardocki, may have a lot to say about today's outcome. The Gamecocks of South Carolina, the Tigers of Clemson in the War of South Carolina, coming up next. And here come the South Carolina Gamecocks as they get ready to charge onto the playing field here at Frank Howard Field, Memorial Stadium in Clemson. Here they come. Led by head coach Joe Morrison, who has won and tied in the last 2 games against Clemson. Listen to the boos that they're greeted with. There is Joe Morrison in his 6th year at South Carolina. Last year a 20-7 victory, 2 years ago a tie. And the Gamecock mascot having fun working the Tiger over. Ben, this rivalry is what college football is all about. The Tiger fans are all ready, and there's the cannon. Here comes their team charging down the hill. Danny Ford, the leader of this band of Tigers, in his 10th year at Clemson. They build the charge down the hill as the most exciting 20 seconds in college football. The opening kickoff is coming up next from Clemson. We'll return with that in a moment.
Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions presents exclusive live coverage of Atlantic Coast Conference football. Today's game is brought to you by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. For insurance and financial services, better call JP. By new Extra Gold Draft in bottles and cans, the one with the full-time taste. By the airline of ACC Country, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. By Amoco Ultimate Lead-Free Premium. Amoco, your car knows. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
If you've never been to a college football game and haven't experienced this type of excitement, you should be here today. South Carolina against Clemson, the 86th renewal of this tremendous rivalry from Frank Howard Field here in Memorial Stadium in Clemson. Kevin Slayton along with Ben Bennett, glad you could join us for this afternoon's game under overcast skies. Temperature has climbed to 54 degrees. And better than a 1 in 3 chance of rain still forecast for the rest of the afternoon. But the rain has held off up to now. The lights have been turned on, and we are ready to renew this rivalry. Here's today's starting lineup, sponsored by AC Delco. Automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. South Carolina won the toss. They have deferred to the second half. Clemson will receive, and Rodney Williams, their fine senior quarterback, will lead that offense onto the field. Terry Allen is the conference's leading rusher. He has better than 1,000 yards. Up front, those 5 linemen have led the way for a very potent ground game, and James Coley, the tight end, will sneak beneath the coverage every once in a while and haul in a Rodney Williams pass. The Gamecock folks, about 12,000 strong, have journeyed over from Columbia, but they're far outnumbered by those clad in orange today. The Clemson fans always filling this stadium to the tune of about 80,000 strong as Colin Mackey, the sophomore out of Irmo, South Carolina, gets set to kick it off. Joe Henderson to the bottom of your screen, number 33. Wesley McFadden, number 22, to the top of your screen. And we're set for college football from Clemson. It's like a pop-up. Infield fly rule is called, and they take the fair catch at the 32-yard line. James Coley, the tight end, signaled for the fair catch and hauled it in there. So right away, Clemson will start off with excellent field position for an offense that has fine-tuned itself. There is Rodney Williams, number 1 in Clemson history in all-time passing yardage, passing attempts, and pass completions, and second all-time in Clemson history in total offense. You can't ask for much more. In addition, 30 ACC wins for this young man. That's the all-time record. On first down, they run Tracy Johnson straight up the middle. Derek Frazier, number 90. Patrick Blackwell, number 93, in on the stop. Here's our starting lineup, sponsored by AC Delco. Automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. Defensively for South Carolina, Hendricks, Dye, High, Frazier, who made the tackle, and Taylor up front. The guy to watch, Patrick Hinton, number 46, the linebacker. He can make the big play. Robert Robinson in the secondary, along with Ron Rayview. Pickup of 4, second and 6. Johnson again. This time Blackwell again, number 93, and Scott Windsor, number 20, ride him to the ground.
Well, Kevin, one of the things that South Carolina does so well and has really frustrated a lot of people with this year is that they stunt and bring their linebackers almost at will. It throws off the blocking assignments for the offensive linemen, and when you do that, you throw confusion into a powerful running game.
It's going to be third and about 3 for Clemson. Now, this is a team that has clicked on third down conversions 50% of the time this season. An unbelievable number. And Rodney Williams wants a timeout. He didn't like what he saw. The Gamecocks decided that the left side of the line jumped too soon, and they wanted a penalty, but they won't get it. Danny Ford has more than the game on his mind today. His mother suffered a heart attack yesterday down in her home of Gadsden, Alabama. The word we have is that she is in stable condition, and that Danny Ford will leave immediately following the game and head to her side down in Gadsden. So we certainly wish her well, and our prayers and best wishes are with her and Danny Ford.
One of the reasons for the timeout was that the 30-second or 25-second clock was running out, but also Rodney didn't see something across the line that he was prepared for. And at this juncture in the game, although it's their very first drive, every third down is important, and he didn't want to put himself in a bad play and opted to take the timeout.
So Clemson burning their first timeout with 13.5 minutes remaining.
One of the things that South Carolina becomes susceptible to when they blitz their linebackers is the big play. Now, it's a do-or-die situation most times when you blitz, and as often as South Carolina blitzes, you could see some big plays out of Clemson's wide receivers today.
Talking with Joe Morrison yesterday, the South Carolina head coach, he said he expects Clemson to pass more than they have. Well, I'll tell you what, Gary Cooper's in the lineup, number 25, and all he's done is average 39 yards a catch. There he goes in motion. They like him on the end around. Here he goes. Near midfield and a first down before Dale Campbell, number 23, brought him down. Cooper's the main man. He's pass catching and running the football. He averages 31 yards every time he touches it.
What happens when a team over-pursues a good running team, and it makes you very susceptible to the reverse. And when you've got a guy like Gary Cooper, you're going to get the football in his hands. He's averaging 31 yards every time he gets his hands on a football.
39 yards per reception, 30 yards every touch, and that time he only gained 11. That's kind of a come down for him.
Only 11.
Rodney Williams with a blitz coming. Gets rid of it. It is intercepted on the sidelines, but he is out of bounds. Campbell picked it off. He's a surprise starter. It was David Taylor, number 42, that put the heavy rush on Rodney Williams.
anytime you want to throw the football effectively, you have to be on rhythm. Rodney Williams gets taken out of his rhythm and throws the ball late. If you're going to throw the ball late, well, you want to heave it as far downfield as you can. Never throw the ball outside late.
He got it far enough outside, then it was out of bounds. 2nd and 10 for the Tigers. There goes Johnson for very, very short yardage. He drew a crowd of white jerseys, led by Marty Dye, the freshman from Greenwood, South Carolina, number 64.
Well, I'll tell you something to look for later in the game. Now, that play, it maybe stopped 4, 5, 6 times throughout the game, but all it takes is one missed tackle, and Tracy Johnson's running free up the middle.
Are you surprised at this point, Ben, that Terry Allen hasn't touched the ball?
Well, I think South Carolina may be keying their defense on Terry Allen, and Coach Ford may be trying to use some kind of strategy early on.
3rd and 10 for Clemson from their own 49. First possession of the game.
Watch the corner pattern deep.
Here's the blitz coming. There's Allen. He's got a first down and then some. Inside the 30-yard line of South Carolina. Ron Rebune, number 15, the senior out of La Palma, California, brought him down. But there's the weapon, the conference's leading rusher.
A very strong candidate for Player of the Year honors, and when you have somebody like that on your team, you're going to get him the football. Again, Clemson finds man-to-man coverage. Allen just beats the linebacker Hinton to the sideline, turns it up. Big play for Clemson. That's the type of play that they're going to have to make repeatedly to hurt this South Carolina defense.
19 yards on the play, his 6th catch of the year, so they don't use him on the passing end a lot. Here he goes running for the first time. Corralled in a hurry by Derek Little, number 99, the senior out of Athens, Georgia, the linebacker. So we mentioned Allen, and all of a sudden, there he is. Bingo, 2 in a row.
No big surprise to anybody. The amazing thing about Terry Allen, besides the fact that he's only a sophomore, is that he doesn't have tremendous breakaway speed. He's got game speed. But this kid averages 6 yards every time he touches the football, and he earns most of that.
Picked up 4 that time. 2nd and 6 for Clemson. They're inside the South Carolina 30. And here he goes again. They're going to get him this time. A loss on the play. David Taylor got him, but it was number 90, Derek Frazier, that was the penetrator and caused Allen's timing to be thrown off.
The one way to stop a very effective tailback is to make him have to try to juke people in the backfield. If Terry Allen turns his shoulders upfield and gets a chance to put a move on somebody, he's going to get big yards. But the thing South Carolina has done thus far is to stretch him out.
He lost 3 yards that time and faces 3rd and 9. They're 2 of 2 in 3rd down conversions thus far. This team has not punted in each of the last 2 games. Williams on the sprint out downfield, in and out of the hands of Jennings. So they still won't have to punt. More than likely it'll be Gardocki for the field goal attempt. Now here's a kid who has an excellent foot but is very inconsistent.
You know, Kevin, we talk about the quarterbacks and the running backs and the big plays here and the big plays there. The one factor we haven't mentioned so far is special teams. When you talk about emotions, special teams, guys that you've never heard of, can come on and make big plays in the kicking game that can hurt you or help you either way.
Here's a 47-yard attempt out of Morocco's hole. It's up in the air. He needs to hook it in there, and he got it. Flag is down. Dale Campbell, number 23, ran into Gardocki. There is Campbell. He doesn't believe it. And now an interesting decision early on. Do you take the 3 off the board?
No way.
5 yards running into the kicker on the defense. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. 3 points good.
And they will not.
Never, ever take points off the board.
Here's another look.
The biggest mistake Campbell makes, and so many kickers or so many blockers make this mistake, they dive at the kicker and not at the ball.
10:46 left, first quarter. We'll return with more from Clemson in a moment. It's standing room only here in Death Valley. The rally in the Valley has begun. Clemson leads 3-0 thanks to Chris Gardocki's 47-yard field goal moments ago. To give you an idea of his inconsistency, he was only 2 of 6 from that distance before he banged that one through. Here's today's Starting lineup sponsored by AC Delco. Automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. For South Carolina offensively, Todd Ellis, the fine quarterback. He is just a junior out of Greensboro. Harold Green is playing with an injured hand. Watch for the sensational freshman flanker Robert Brooks, number 49. Up front, they've protected Ellis pretty well all year. And Carl Platt, the tight end, he's a little tight end. So keep an eye on him because he can sneak downfield and hurt you.
Special teams for Clemson. The one guy you want to watch on kick coverage is number 16, Wayne Harps. He always seems to be around the football and making big hits. Rusty Sile gets set to kick it off. So Clemson, with its first possession, drives down for a field goal. They hit on 3 consecutive third down plays en route to that field goal. Sile's high end-over-end kick comes down to Brooks at the 2. He has returned 1 for a touchdown this year. And he crosses the 25-yard line. There is Todd Ellis, an inconsistent up-and-down type of performer, as evidenced by 17 interceptions, 63 in his career. There's an old cliche, when you're hot, and when you're not, you're not. When Todd Ellis gets on his game, he can be as good or better than any quarterback in the country. Better than 2,000 yards. His top game was 321 this year. The run and shoot offense for South Carolina, as Ben Bennett accurately predicted prior to the game. Here they go. This is something new, and they flip it out in a hurry. A pickup of 7 for Platt, the tight end. I mentioned he's a small guy. He's just like another wide receiver, Ben. I'm going to tell you what the run and shoot does for Todd Ellis and what it does to Clemson. Todd Ellis had a great deal of success in his freshman and sophomore seasons, passing for over 6,400 yards in 2 seasons. Now, Clemson comes in prepared to run the defense the pro set. Now they've got a defense to run and shoot. It throws them off a little bit. They practiced in secrecy all week in Columbia. It was our sources that were able to get inside there and let us know what was going on. Here's the first running play of the game for Carolina, and that is Green. Our starting lineup sponsored by AC Delco. Automotive parts that don't just fit, they match. Defensively for Clemson, Hammond, Drag, and McCullough up front. Drag really anchors that defensive front. Johnson, Hatcher, McDaniel, and Marable. McDaniel leads this team in tackles. Donnell Wolford is an All-American at the cornerback spot. So the first down for the Gamecocks. Platt is in motion. Operating this run and shoot like he was born to play it. And here's the man, Brooks, alive, still out of bounds inside the 40. The freshman run out of bounds by Rusty Sharpia. But Robert Brooks keeps adding to his freshman records at South Carolina. That's 29 catches now for him. The run and shoot is so difficult to defend because you've got 3 fast receivers running against a zone defense. Ellis put the ball right on the money to Brooks. Brooks showing you his athletic ability by turning up, breaking a tackle, and putting South Carolina in great field position. 23 yards on that play. They're inside the Clemson 40. Now they run out of the eye. The toss is to Green. He's inside the 35. He follows the left side of his line. Dexter Davis, number 9, had to come up from his cornerback spot to make the tackle. Well, I'm going to tell you something about Harold Green. Although the run and shoot is primarily a throwing offense, Harold Green last year on 229 carries had 1,022 yards and 15 touchdowns. That'll tell you what kind of player he is. He's been nagged by injuries all year, got hurt in the first game of the year, and then last week injured that thumb where he tore a ligament in his right thumb. It'll hamper his pass catcher. Out of the run and shoot they go again. Ellis throws it away. He was bothered by Levon Kirkland, number 44, and intended it for Brooks, but really just wanted to get rid of it. Well, Todd Ellis is not alone in quarterbacks that have been bothered by Levon Kirkland. He came on at the beginning of the year and wasn't a starter and started to play so well that they inserted him into the lineup. Now they can't get him out of it. He's got 59 tackles on the year and 5.5 sacks. Joe Morrison looking on with his surprising wrinkle here out of the run and shoot. They face now a 3rd down and 3. Platt goes in motion. Ellis flips it out to Green. He makes the catch, eludes a tackler, and gets the first down. He's down to the 21 before Dexter Davis can bring him down. A great job as Ed McDaniel helped out on the tackle. Clemson has got a tremendous amount of great athletes on their defensive team, but when they're not sure what to do and what they're looking for, they play tentative. Green makes the catch here, avoids the tackle, great balance, cuts back inside to pick up the first down. South Carolina has got Clemson guessing defensively right now.
Had McDaniel brought him down originally, he would have been short of the first down, but he picks up 10 and gets the first down. Inside hand up to Green, big hole inside the 15, down to the 11. James Lott, number 5, came up from the free safety spot. These Gamecock fans are fired up. And they're down there at that end of the field, Ben, where the Gamecock fans are, so that'll help Todd Ellis.
It can't hurt them, all right? It can't hurt Clemson. Now, the thing that does hurt Clemson is that their linebackers are trying to get involved in stopping the passing game, and when they do that, they're susceptible to the draw play, like you saw right there.
First down just outside of the 10-yard line. They can pick up a first down without scoring, although it would really be tough. The draw again to Green, hit right at the line of scrimmage this time by Mervyn Green, number 99, the sophomore out of Utenville, South Carolina. He's a big one, 6'2" and 280, and he wasn't fooled at all.
We know, Kevin, we're talking about the run and shoot. The guy that ran this to perfection was Jim Kelly with the Houston Gamblers in the USFL. It became so popular that a lot of schools have tried to do it. South Carolina did it the last 2 years with a great deal of success, but felt like they could be more effective with Todd Ellis's abilities in a pro set offense.
Those 7 points against Clemson in the first quarter came last week against Maryland. Ellis fires it out incomplete, intended for George Bush, the tight end, number 14, and he and James Lott get into it a little bit.
There's going to be some animosity in the secondary because South Carolina's wide receivers on the running plays are going down and trying to take the legs of the Clemson secondary out. Defensive backs don't like that worth a darn, I can tell you that. And there's going to be some tempers flaring with all the emotion pumping today.
Ellis is 3 of 5 in this opening series. He faces now 3rd down from the 9. They give it to Green. Hatcher has him. Loose football, and I don't know who got it. Clemson comes away with it. I believe it was Mark Dragg, number 85. That's who it was. What a huge mistake.
Well, we talked about the Clemson linebackers having to try to stop the passing game and being susceptible to the run. That time, Clemson stunted. Hatcher stripped the ball, and Dragg made a great play to get his hands on the football.
7:05 left first quarter. We'll be back after this from your local ACC station. Valley, Kevin Slayton and Ben Bennett. Clemson leads 3-0 thanks to a 47-yard Gardocki field goal, but they just recovered a South Carolina fumble here at the 8-yard line, and they've done it all year. As you can see, they're 4th in the nation in takeover ratio. First down at the 8. They'll run the fullback again. That's been an effective weapon as Wesley McFadden takes it up the gut. Derek Little, number 99, has to bring him down. McFadden in there now, giving Tracy Johnson a rest.
I'm going to tell you something about Clemson's back. They have got some of the best and the deepest talent at tailback and fullback in the country. But you got to give credit to the offensive line. And the big thing to watch today, watch the wide receivers blocking downfield. Before this day is over, they're going to play a big part in Clemson's running backs popping for extra yardage.
2nd and 5 after he picked up 5. Cooper in motion. Williams throws deep for Davis, but he overthrew him, and a flag goes down. It was a very late flag. Robert Robinson, number 36, was covering. He may have held Chip Davis.
He did. He chugged him at the line, and I think he might have chugged him past 5 yards.
Defensive pass interference, spot foul, automatic first down.
Rod Daly, our referee, letting Joe Morrison know.
You may not be able to see the contact, but Rodney Williams lets the ball go early off the option fake. Chip Davis and Robert Robinson were all tangled up down there, and that's where the call came. Was just after he got past the 5 yards. Robinson stuck out his hands and got them all over Davis.
They'll go now from the 23, first down. Henry Carter in there, number 40. He's in the slot. And that is he in motion. He's in there to block for Terry Allen, who goes up the middle. Campbell, number 23, brings him down along with David Taylor, number 42. But good yardage again for Terry Allen, the conference's leading rusher. And you know, Allen is already 11th overall in Clemson history in the rushing department.
When you talk about a great running back, you got to credit the offensive line. Look at the hold. Nobody is there to touch him until he gets all the way to the linebackers and the secondary. That's a great credit to Back, Flesh, and Harmon in the middle.
2nd and 5 from the 28. Here goes Allen again. Not so this time. David Taylor was there, number 42. He got some help from Scott Windsor, number 20.
Well, Kevin, the thing to look for as this game progresses, South Carolina is committing 8 and 9 players to the line, trying to stop Clemson's run. They're challenging Rodney Williams and Clemson's receivers to beat him deep. Clemson has got some talent at wide receiver. They just don't use them that often. But when they do, they use them very effectively.
There you see them, Jennings and Davis talking it over. Who wants to catch it, you or I?
Well, if they got into an argument, I think you can see by the size difference who would win that one.
Rodney Williams has to call a timeout. That's the second timeout Clemson has used here in the first quarter, which still has 5:05 to run. Danny Ford's not thrilled about that. 3-0, the Tigers lead it, though. He is happy about that, and we'll return to Death Valley for more ACC action in a moment. 5:05 left first quarter. Clemson on top by a field goal. Now let's go down to the sidelines and Chris Allen.
All right, we're down here with the fans. I was just asking these people how much they had to pay for their tickets to get down here close to the field, and they said full price. These might look like the best seats of the house because they're probably only about 20 feet from the Clemson football team, if you're a Clemson fan, the best seats anyway. But it's actually about the worst seat in the house because unless you have a watchman of some sort, you basically don't see the football game until it's right down in front of you on the 20-yard line, Kevin.
All right, Chris, and with that watchman, of course, you can watch our telecasts. That's the timeout story. Clemson has burned 2 already. They face a 3rd and 3. You see what they've done on 3rd down. Williams himself has the first down with the extra effort across the 35. Ron Rebune, number 15, came up to get him. Rodney's an effective ball carrier, isn't he, Ben?
Well, he's the lesser of 3 evils. If you're South Carolina's defensive coordinator, you don't want the fullback or the tailback to have it. The only one that leaves is Rodney Williams. Rodney is not a spectacular ball carrier, but he's a very smart runner and does what he has to do to pick up first down yardage.
Now he'll throw on first down. The rush coming, a sliding catch near the 40, made out there by Cooper. That's one of the least damaging plays that Cooper has pulled off all year long, probably because he fell down.
Well, like I said, these little short passes are the ones that set up the big ones. You pump them underneath, you pump them underneath. When they start coming up trying to take that away is when you loop one over the top to Gary Cooper, Ricardo Hooper, or Keith Jennings, and they can take it the distance.
You saw that average per catch of better than 39 yards. That was not a mistake, folks. That's the real McCoy. 2nd and 6 after a pickup of 4. There goes McFadden straight up the middle. Derek Little, number 99, was again there. This time he got some help from Patrick Hinton, number 46. First time Hinton has made a tackle today. 3:50 left and counting in the first quarter. If you joined us late, Clemson marched with the opening kickoff and capitalized when Gardocki booted a 47-yard field goal. And that's been the story. Then South Carolina, with their run-and-shoot offense unveiling here for the first time, drove to the 9 of Clemson before Green fumbled it away. And the Tigers have now moved out to their 45. Short yardage play is McFadden. Nothing fancy. First down. Now he gets thrown back. But on 3rd and 2, he picked up the first down. Clemson won't electrify you with any fancy stuff, but they'll kill you with execution.
If you're South Carolina, you got to start to think, hey, somebody on this defense has got to step up and make the big play, because they're committing 9 people to the defensive line to try and stop Clemson's running game, and Clemson has still been very effective running the football.
They've been mixing in the first down pass every now and then. McFadden with 12 yards on 3 carries thus far, and it's all been the hard kind of stuff up the middle. First down, Tigers from their own 48. Here's Williams on first down, looking for Cooper deep. He's got it inside the 15. Well, I said they mix in the first down pass, but this was a death bomb.
Just like clockwork, you can count on Clemson executing, and then hitting you for the big play. South Carolina's defensive backs are in man-to-man coverage 90% of the game. And when you have players in town of Cooper, Jennings, Hooper, and Davis, they're going to get by you occasionally. And if you can hook up when they get open, it's big, big yards.
Dale Campbell was victimized. Cooper just keeping his average intact with that 40-yard catch. They run the fullback straight up the middle. Derek Frazier, number 90, brought McFadden down. So Clemson is in striking distance again. Boy, you can just see that one coming.
You know, South Carolina really has to have a lot of faith in their defensive backs because they're almost constantly in man-to-man coverage with the blitzing defense that they run. And any defensive back will tell you it's awful hard to cover a guy that runs a 4-5 over a 100-yard long field.
This Clemson offense really getting in gear the last 3 games. Averaged better than 41 points over the last 3 games. Here's Williams pitching it back to Allen. Caught in the backfield. Great job from David Taylor, the junior out of Asbury Park, New Jersey.
The thing that kills you on the option is if they have this many bodies up there, you can't block everybody. You have to out-athlete some of them. Terry Allen tries to do that here. He just can't get by the tackle of David Taylor.
I was going to ask you to explain that word.
You like that?
If you could have, you would have won an Academy Award.
I make them up as I go along.
That's the way to do it. Loss of 3 on that play. 3rd and 12. Williams looking for Davis. Now looks outside. Has it picked off and dropped. Did he catch it on the rebound? No. It was Robert Robinson, the senior from Shelby, North Carolina. Well, he won't have a better opportunity. He thinks he may have rolled over and caught it on the deflection.
You can't tell from up here, but it looked awfully close. Rodney again throwing on rhythm, looks back to the left, tries to throw the ball late to the outside, and I mentioned at the top of the telecast, you can't do that. If you're going to throw the ball late, throw it to an underneath back, but don't try and pump it in outside, because if the defensive back breaks up and makes this grab, you'll see nothing but his heels kicking up to the end zone.
I tell you what, I think he did catch it. 31-yard field goal for Gardocki, and he's 2 of 2 today from that distance thus far on the season. Gardocki hitting on 5 and 9, so the 2 spots where he's most inconsistent from, he is hit from today. And they lead the Gamecocks 6-0 with 1:16 left in the quarter. We'll return for more from Death Valley in a moment. 2 Chris Gardocki field goals here in Death Valley have given the Tigers a 6-0 lead with 1:16 left in the quarter. Kevin Slayton, Ben Bennett, and 80,000 plus other folks here in Death Valley watching the 86th renewal on this one. How about that? The Blue Devils still in the hunt for a bowl, leading North Carolina 28-14. The Cavaliers over Maryland at halftime by 3. Virginia would go to a bowl probably if they would win. Top-ranked Notre Dame, no surprise there, out in front of Penn State. Nittany Lions headed for a losing season for the first time in a long time. Michigan Rose Bowl bound. Yale in the Ivy League over Harvard. They're battling each other for the umpteenth millionth time. Steve Spurrier, of course, watching that Duke game from the press box, I would imagine, Ben. He's suspended for criticizing the officials.
Commissioner Gene Corrigan set down the rule approved by the athletic directors. Following the NC State game, Steve Spurrier voiced his dissatisfaction with a very close call and subsequently was banned from the stadium for the entire game.
So he can't even watch from the press box. He had to leave the entire stadium. You may be home watching it on our Jefferson Pilot regional telecast. Here is Brooks, the freshman, straight up the middle. He broke one earlier this year, and he was 1 tackle away from being gone there. Chip Davis, number 7, tripped him up, or he was headed for pay dirt.
I'm going to tell you, Chip Davis has impressed me every game I watch him because he always seems to be in the right place at the right time, whether it's blocking or covering on kicks. This is a touchdown-saving tackle right there.
27 yards on that return for Brooks, the freshman. The run-and-shoot offense in gear for South Carolina from their own 33. Platt in motion. Ellis to throw. Flips it out to Green. Nice move. Cuts it back. Up near the 40. Jesse Hatcher waited for him there, number 55. And Otis Moore, number 81, helped out.
That's a lot of work for only 5 yards. Todd Ellis so far has made good decisions every time he's thrown the football. Here he looks downfield, sees his receivers covered, and lays the ball out to Green, who makes a great move inside of John Johnson and cuts back. Although he only gained 5 yards, that's as good as a first down running play.
As they spotted at the 40, it's a 7-yard pickup. 2nd down and 3. 35 seconds left in the quarter. Now they'll run Green, makes 2 good moves, and has a first down at the 45. James Lott, number 5, brought him down. Interestingly, Ben, it was Green who fumbled at the 9-yard line of Clemson, and when South Carolina gets the ball back, they go right to him twice in a row, and his confidence just picks back up.
But when you get thrown from a horse, you got to climb right back on, because if you don't get back in the saddle, you'll start to think too much. And if you're a football player, you don't want to think on the field, you want to react.
First down, South Carolina at the 45. So far, neither defense has been able to stop the other's offense. Ellis to the air with the run and shoot. There's Platt. Needs to make a move. Does so and knocks out of bounds at about the 46 with 3 seconds left in the quarter.
When South Carolina runs their run and shoot with the 3 wide receivers to one side, most times they'll have a wide receiver short as a reserve receiver in case the receivers downfield aren't open. When you're throwing to Donnell Wolford's side, most of the times the receiver downfield is not going to be open.
Joe Morrison, 6 years now at the helm at South Carolina. 2nd and 9. This will be the last play of the first quarter. The run and shoot also helps Ellis buy time. Quick drop back, guns it out complete. This is Bush. He's across midfield into Clemson territory. James Lott had to bring him down as the first quarter comes to an end with Clemson out in front 6-0. So the Tigers keep intact their record of giving up just 7 points in the first quarter all year. We'll return to Death Valley for more ACC action. Clemson out on top early. It hasn't dampened the enthusiasm. This great rivalry underway. First quarter is history from Clemson. Here in Death Valley, the Tigers lead 6-0. Kevin Slayton and Ben Bennett. Todd Ellis has come in for a lot of criticism, Ben, even from his own fans, but he's on today.
You're about to see the field presence of Todd Ellis. He sees man-to-man coverage in the Clemson secondary and audibles to a pass play that is most beneficial for his receivers. You can see them running the pick play, trying to get the outside receiver to pick the defensive back and let the inside receiver run up the sidelines untouched.
He's 6 of 8 for 55 yards today. 3rd down and 2. Call it a long 2, maybe 3. Chasing him. He guns it incomplete. That was Lott covering. No flag comes in late. Hardin Brown was the intended receiver, or maybe it was Rush, but the flag came in from the judge, the field judge way downfield. It was a late flag. The closest official to it did not call it.
Usually what that means when you have that type of call, when the close official doesn't see it, the far one calls it, he can see the left hand on the back as the right hand tries to go in front and knock down the football.
And that's what it'll be. It'll work against Clemson. Here's another look.
As Todd Ellis rolls out, look at the receiver running up the top sideline. Had he been able to throw the ball early, he might have had a big gain. But he throws the football, they reach in to try and knock it down, and usually when the call comes from behind, that means he had his left hand on his back as he went for the knockdown with his right hand.
And that appeared from that replay to be exactly what it was. And Danny Ford wants to know if indeed that is the case. So the penalty moves it down to the Clemson 33. Neither team has had to punt yet. Clemson on 2 4th downs has kicked field goals successfully. Joe Morrison's Gamecocks fumble at the Clemson 9. This is their second possession, and they're driving. Platt goes in motion. This is Harold Green straight up the middle. Big yard, still on his feet, down to the 21-yard line. Doug Brewster, number 92, rode in the saddle for about 5 of those yards. Then Rusty Charpia came up and brought him down. But Harold Green playing injured and playing well. Let's go down to the sidelines and Chris Allen.
Down where the Clemson offense is seated, waiting to get back out of the field. Now, normally where this offense and Rodney Williams sit, you will find an assistant coach come out and talk about it. But Danny Ford was actually down when they first sat down to try and hype it and talk about it and really get these guys going, along with the X's and O's. Kevin?
Green again, short yardage this time. Brewster was there, number 92, the sophomore out of Athens, Georgia. Clemson going just about exclusively with 5 defensive backs now on every play to try to counteract that run and shoot of South Carolina.
You know, versus the run and shoot, a lot of defensive coordinators try a lot of different things to stop it. Some teams have gone with 2 down linemen and 8 or 9 guys trying to cover the pass. Clemson has good enough athletes. They can play their base coverage and try to beat South Carolina with that.
2nd and 8. Ellis to the air. The blitz coming, and Hatcher has it. The ball is loose, and Clemson has it. Todd Ellis may be hurt.
No sooner do I mention Clemson's great athlete than you see one of their best come in and make a big play. Hatcher coming from the blind side. Ellis never even saw the blitz as he tried to turn and throw the ball. Hatcher just tattooed him.
McDaniel recovered it. Clemson has their 2nd fumble recovery against South Carolina. 13:45 left in the half. Clemson by 6. We'll be back after this from your local ACC station. In the nation in takeaway giveaway ratio, and they've just come up with their 2nd fumble recovery of the day. Kevin Slayton along with Ben Bennett. 13:45 left in the half. 2 Chris Kardaki field goals have given Clemson a 6-0 lead, and they now have possession at their own 33-yard line. Gary Cooper is in the game along with Tracy Johnson in the backfield. Here's a double pass. Chip Davis is looking for Cooper, but he got hung up. And Campbell makes the tackle, but give credit in the secondary because they were on to Cooper. He got hung up first, and then 2 Gamecocks surrounded him.
Well, Davis is a former quarterback and has played a great season for Clemson at wide receiver. Here, Rodney Williams turns and spins and throws the ball backwards. Davis looking downfield to throw the ball to Cooper. He makes a great decision not to throw it because he was double covered. And although he lost 3 yards, it was a good play not to throw the football.
One of the few times that gadget play that Clemson has run has not succeeded for them in the games we've seen them this season. Rodney Williams has to throw now and intends it for Cooper, but throws it into the dirt. And now it's going to be 3rd and long, 3rd and 14. And unless Clemson pulls a big play out, they'll have to punt for the first time in 2+ games.
Well, coming into this game, they had gone 22 consecutive possessions without having to punt the football. That was 2 entire games. Previously, in their entire school history, they had only gone 4 games without having to punt the football.
Williams is 3 of 7 for 63 yards, and he needs a big one here. They'll run the delay to Allen. He won't get anywhere. Wrestled down by Scott Windsor, number 20. He got some help from number 93, Patrick Blackwell, the sophomore out of Ladson, South Carolina. So Kardaki will come on to exercise his leg a little bit. He may be a little rusty.
Well, this early in the game, with a 6-point lead, they don't need to take any chances down this close. Danny Ford is content to try the running game, and Terry Allen is the type of back that can break that play. If he doesn't pick it up, he's got Gardaki to come in and knock it away.
You see Gardaki about a 42-yard average, but he can nail it. He's kicked one as far as 58 yards. Oh, well, he gets this one. Fair catch called for by Platt at his 31. And that's where South Carolina will be in business with 12:14 left in the half. They trail 6-0. We'll come back to Death Valley for more ACC action after you see this. In Death Valley, Kevin Slayton, Ben Bennett, 80,000 plus folks clad in orange and black. 6-0 the Tigers over South Carolina. 86th meeting between these 2 fine institutions. And I'll tell you what, it's college football spirit, enthusiasm at its best.
That's an understatement. I have goosebumps throughout this whole game. Yeah, there's just so much emotion and so much adrenaline pumping. You can feel it in the stands and all the way up here.
After the 39-yard punt, South Carolina from their own 31. Ellis, his receiver rush never did turn around. I'll tell you what, they had 8 or 10 yards if he did.
You know, the run and shoot offense is designed to take advantage of discrepancies in the secondary. If you don't have somebody picked up short, they're going to stand up and throw you the football. South Carolina hasn't practiced this all year long. Todd Ellis remembers, hey, when nobody's out there, I'll stand up and throw you the ball. Unfortunately, the wide receiver didn't have a chance to turn his head and make the catch.
That's where the quarterback is charged with an incompletion, but he didn't do anything wrong. Ellis throwing incomplete that time. He and Brooks were confused on and not on the same page.
That's the second consecutive play that they've had miscommunication.
Our Schlitz Malt Liquor Student Athlete of the Week, Stacy Fields. 3.0 grade point in industrial management out of Frogmore, South Carolina. He's just a sophomore, so he'll be back for more action. He's our Schlitz Malt Liquor Student Athlete of the Week. 3rd and 10 for Todd Ellis. Crowd on its feet now. Loose ball. Clemson has it. Kirkland picked it up in the air. That is the 3rd fumble recovery for Clemson today. The 3rd South Carolina turnover today.
It's just a fumbled snap from center to quarterback. A lot of times when you're a quarterback and you're trying to think about so many things, you forget the little things. And first and foremost in any quarterback's mind is to get your hands on the football from the center.
Well, you saw the turnover story. First down, Clemson inside the South Carolina 30. McFadden, he's going nowhere. Windsor was there. Frazier was there, number 90. Hey, when Clemson gets more turnovers than the opposition, they're awfully tough to beat. When it happens this year, they're 6-0.
You know, that's usually the situation. Turnovers do more than just give you the football. They give you momentum, and in this case, it gets the crowd back into the game. And when you're talking about the Clemson crowd, you're talking about one of the most awesome in the country.
You saw that graphic, 6-0 when they take the ball away more than the opponent. And if that remains intact, South Carolina's got a tough load to hold. Here's Allen. Look at that load. He's close to a first down near the 20. Dale Campbell held him up just shy of the first down marker, along with Kevin Hendricks, number 98.
If you're a running backs coach, you can teach them where to go, and you can teach them how to get there, but you can't coach desire. Look at him just keep his legs churning and pushes 4 guys ahead for 4 yards once they got their hands on him.
3rd and 2, and Henry Carter, number 40, comes into the backfield. Just watch him, because he's going to block somebody. He lines up in the slot, but he'll probably go in motion and knock somebody down. There he goes. Oh, what a play coming through there by Marty Dye, number 64, just a freshman, to stop them short of the first down. Now on 4th down, it'll be Gardaki's call, and he'll come in to try to go 3 for 3.
Well, Kevin, conspicuous in the absence of us calling his name, and especially in a short yardage situation, is Tracy Johnson. Maybe we can get Chris Allen down on sidelines to find out where he is.
Be a 38-yard attempt, and from this distance, Gardaki is 6 of 10, and that includes one that he made today from 37 yards. He is perfect. So Chris Gardaki is the story. He is 3 for 3, and Clemson, with 10:02 left in the half, leads South Carolina 9-0. And from a sold-out Death Valley, we'll return for more ACC football after this. Ball in Clemson, Kevin Slayton, Ben Bennett, Chris Gardaki, 3 for 3 in the field goal department, and the Tigers lead 9-0. Let's go down to Chris Allen on the sideline.
We're down in front of the band for South Carolina, down at the South Carolina end as far as the fans go, and also a lot of men in blue. There are pockets of 25 and 50 men in blue, the South Carolina Highway Patrol, all around the field in various spots. They are trying to act very professional and not show any of their colors one way or the other. But you can tell by a grin here, a smile there, a disgusted look on another one's face, who they're really rooting for and how they would just love to jump up and down and get crazy like everybody else in this stadium. Kevin?
All right, Chris, that gentleman there looked like a Clemson fan until he knew the camera was on him, and then he wiped the smile off his face. No partiality shown by the police officers, but I'll tell you what, the other 80,000 plus are letting you know who they're for. Most are dressed in orange, but there are pockets dressed in black. 12,000 strong from Columbia, South Carolina. You saw Rusty Stile. There is Brooks at the top of the screen, and Williams at the bottom of the screen. Gerald Williams. It's going to be Brooks from the 14. He came close to breaking one last time, gets to the 30. Reminder, the announcers of this game approved and selected by Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, unauthorized duplication, or reception of this broadcast without the express written permission of Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions is prohibited.
By the way, all you people out there in the audience who want to hear me read that one time before the end of the year, feel free to mail all your letters to care of JP.
North Carolina State leading Wake Forest with their hands full at App State. Wake is looking at a bowl bid if they can beat Appalachian State.
Boy, what an upset that would be.
Green around the right side just runs over a defender as he crosses the 35. John Johnson got blown out of the path of Harold Green. So if you doubted Green's power at 6'2", 215, I bet John Johnson doesn't doubt it. And there he is. He's shaking his head to get the cobwebs out.
Well, Harold Green is showing a lot of guts here. He's playing this game with torn ligaments in his right thumb. He's putting his head down and knocking people to the turf. Johnson, the sophomore out of LaGrange, Georgia. Green has carried for 48 yards so far. Rutgers having a pretty good year. Virginia Tech struggling in the second quarter. 2nd and 4 for the Gamecocks out of the run and shoot offense. They run. Green straight up the middle, drag, trying to pull him down, number 85, but I think he got the first down and got across the 40. And he did. So the Gamecocks have not had trouble moving the ball. They have had trouble hanging on to it. 3 fumbles recovered by Clemson today, the most damaging of which was recovered at the Clemson 9. But they fumbled another one at the Clemson 30-yard line, and they fumbled one at their own 33-yard line. Michigan State hoping for a bowl bid. Indiana thinks that they'll be South Carolina's opposition in the Liberty Bowl. Wolford coming in from the corner spot to make the tackle on Green after a pickup of maybe 1. You know, coming into this year, Donnell Wolford was an All-American candidate and a finalist in the Thorpe Trophy. He's just a great cornerback, but you haven't called his name that many times this year. That's actually the biggest pat on the back he can get, because opposing offensive coordinators have said, hey, this guy's too good. Let's just stay away from him. He's working one-on-one against Eddie Miller at the top of your screen right now. You won't see Eddie get the ball. 2nd down and 8. Here comes the blitz. Ellis, good job to get out of there. And it's nearly picked off, and guess who? It was Wolford. If you can get around Todd Ellis, you can make him throw the ball up for grabs. Beasley coming on the blitz. Ellis scrambles out and throws the ball downfield. And who's there but Mr. Everything, Donnell Wolford. And he nearly picked it off. He's high on the minds of the pro scouts. There's another kid that's high on the minds of the pro scouts. And to think he's got another full year to develop. Ellis, just a junior, now faces 3rd and 8 from his own 42. 8:40 left in the half. Beasley put the pressure on, and Lott nearly picked it off. In fact, Beasley may have deflected it. And listen to this crowd. Ellis trying to hit the flat man on a short pass. The ball gets tipped in the line, and had Lott been looking for the interception and not the big hit, he might have picked that one up and gone a distance. Rodney Price on to punt it away. Wolford is deep. High snap. Low kick. South Carolina gets the benefit of the roll, though, as it goes dead at the 15. So that's where the Clemson Tigers will put it in play after a 43-yard punt and no return. Rodney Williams gunning for his 31st career victory. You know, as we were looking at Joe Johnson, number 12, the outside linebacker for Clemson, little bad news for Clemson football fans. Andy Hedden, the former Bandit linebacker, number 12 here, forced to retire from the New York Giants because of a disc in his back that's too close to his spinal cord and threatens injuring him for life. Tracy Johnson back in there. Williams on 1st down is in trouble. Now guns it complete to Hooper. Ricardo Hooper up across the 30-yard line. Robert Robinson brought him down. And that was a great adjustment by Rodney Williams and by Hooper. Watch him as he's trying to hit the hitch and go. He's trying to fake the short pass and throw deep. He's not open, but credit the offensive line of Clemson for giving Williams time, and credit Hooper for getting open and Williams to deliver the football. 18 yards on the play and a 1st down.
Johnson straight up the middle for big yardage. Make it McFadden, number 22. Defensively, Theardis Woodard, number 55, brought him down. There's Theardis. He's a sophomore out of Gastonia, North Carolina. Somebody on the Gamecock defensive unit, Ben, needs a big play.
They have to take it into their own power and say, look, I got to turn things around. The guy that can do that on one play is Patrick Hinton.
2nd and 5 after McFadden got 5. There's Allen accelerating to midfield. Down he goes at the 45 of South Carolina. Patrick Hinton was the guy closest to him, but it looked like Allen may have fallen when he cut and shifted directions.
We were talking about Terry Allen, and he has game speed. Look at how quickly he gets going north and south and just does the little things well. He makes people miss him, and he's always moving forward.
Moved forward 17 yards that time. First down at the 45-yard line of South Carolina. The fullback, Tracy Johnson, to the 40. Brought down there by Derek Little, number 99. But Clemson is having things its own way now. Joe Morrison has to be concerned on the South Carolina sideline. His defensive team is getting eaten up in big chunks now.
And the one thing they're doing besides chunking out yardage is they're ticking time off the clock.
6:25 left in the half. Here's Allen. Got a great block from his fullback. And Ron Rebune came up to trip him up. Boy, Tracy Johnson made a great block.
And that's no big surprise to anybody that knows Tracy Johnson. Last week, he hit a guy from Maryland, knocked his helmet off, his chin strap loose, and his mouthpiece out. He takes great pride in blocking well.
6 feet, 230 pounds. He'll hurt you.
And he's also reputed to cook the meanest batch of blueberry muffins on a team. He's a big cook.
That's like I said the last time we were talking about that. Nobody's going to tell him it doesn't taste good. Boy, are they short, or does that chain hit the nose of the ball?
You got to give him that one.
First down, Clemson at the South Carolina 36. Again, if you joined us late, Danny Ford's mother suffering a heart attack yesterday in her home in Gadsden, Alabama. Coach Ford is going to head straight down there immediately following the game, and our prayers and good wishes go with him. First down, Clemson. They already lead 9-0. And they're on the march again. Williams throwing again on first down, completing it to Jennings on the far side. Wrestled out of bounds by Dale Campbell, but that means 15 straight games now for Keith Jennings in which he has caught at least one pass. So he closes his career out with 15 straight games.
Now you want to talk about a size differential. Keith Jennings is 235 pounds. Dale Campbell is 185. That's a 50-pound difference.
Right now, Clemson's doing everything it wants to do. 2nd and 2, and that first down pass has really loosened it up for the Tigers today. Inside, Tracy Johnson, another big chunk of yards. Everybody joining in for the Gamecocks to stop him. This is the Clemson offensive team and defensive team that people thought they had here at the beginning of the season. They suffered a heartbreaking loss to Florida State and really never recovered until the last 3 weeks.
Well, you know, we talked about Tracy Johnson, where he was earlier. This is what this guy does best. He gets his hands on the football in short yardage, and he is going to pick you up a first down.
First down, Clemson. They're at the 22-yard line of South Carolina. They started this drive from their own 15-yard line. Oh, how about that for a defensive play? We said somebody had to do it. Kevin Hendricks, number 98, does it. He didn't miss Terry Allen. In fact, Allen's lucky he held the ball.
This is a big hit, but watch Terry Allen's feet. He's trying to stop, and you can see it makes it look like a lot bigger hit than it is. It was a great hit, but Terry Allen was trying to put on the brakes and subsequently got knocked on his duff.
Hendricks, the senior out of Hickory, North Carolina. So a loss of 4. And the 9th play of this drive is 2nd and 14. Williams to the air. That is Hooper. Makes a great move and gets near the 15, but he's short of the first down. Derek Little dropped him. Cooper, it doesn't matter. Both are effective.
Give them the football and they get you yards. This is the play Rodney Williams has completed 3 or 4 times already this afternoon. Watch the move, though. Hooper puts on the brakes and gets by the first tackle and puts Clemson in a 3rd and short.
And the reason their season average on 3rd down is better than 50% is because they're so effective and get in this position so often, 3rd and short, and they have Allen and Johnson back there to pick it up for them. In motion goes Cooper.
Watch a halfback pass.
Allen back to Rodney Williams. Now he's in trouble, and look at this move. He has a first down.
They were trying to throw the ball back to Rodney.
Give credit to David Taylor because he picked Rodney Williams up, but the great ability of Terry Allen gets the first down anyway.
I'm going to tell you, this is a great call. I love this call. And Terry Allen, boy, what a play. Sees that Williams is covered, puts the ball down, and has the presence of mind to still pick up first down yardage. That's a great play.
How about the free hand as he put it down to help himself? They're going to measure to see if they made it, but it appeared where he was originally tackled, he had it, and they spotted it back a little bit. So he's going to be a little bit short. I don't think there's any doubt they'll go for it here.
And who do you think's going to get the football right now?
Tracy Johnson. Last time I said that, though, they didn't give it to him.
Well, you can look at it 2 ways. You can either count on him and your offensive line being your bread and butter, or you can try to go for the big play off of the fake to Johnson. I think they're going to try and run the ball with either Tracy or Rodney Williams.
They're 5 of 6 on 4th down conversions. I think Williams will keep it and sneak it. Flags are down, though. He made it on his own, but a flag is down.
It usually means somebody lines up in the neutral zone, and that's what it is.
And it's a Gamecock that did it. He had the first down anyway, but they'll just make it official with a 5-yard advance instead of a 1-yard advance.
You know, we talked about South Carolina's offense struggling, but we didn't talk about South Carolina's defense and their ability to score. They've scored 4 touchdowns already this year, and they can jump up and they can make the big turnover. Somebody's going to have to do that quickly if they're going to stay in this game.
Under 3 minutes left in the half. Clemson with 1st and goal at the 7. The toss to Allen. Here he goes. For Terry Allen, his 9th rushing touchdown of the season, and Clemson has done everything perfectly today.
You know, I'm sure Terry Allen will be the first one to credit the rest of the 10 guys on the offense. They just knocked everybody backing out and gave him a clear run into the end zone.
Rusty Style kicks the extra point. 16-0, Clemson leads. But keep this in mind, even though it's a 16-point lead, as flags go down on the conversion, South Carolina has moved the ball well. They've stopped themselves with turnovers.
You may not be able to see it, but watch the block on the outside by Jennings there and by Davis in the end zone. We spoke earlier about how the wide receiver blocking was going to play a big part later in the game. Jennings knocked his man 5 yards back off the ball, and Davis had taken his man all the way to the back of the end zone.
It looks as though a personal foul against Clemson was called on the conversion. That would mean they'd mark it off on the kickoff. 2:49 remaining here in Death Valley in the first half. 16-0 Clemson will return for more action in a moment. Death Valley, Clemson on top, 16-0. Kevin Slayton and Ben Bennett down on the sidelines. Chris Allen. Let's check in with Chris now.
Well, you were looking at the offensive star thus far, at least for the last play, Terry Allen, and once again, Coach Ford made his way over the offense to even fire him up some more. Usually on the sidelines, you'll see people put their arms in the air and be happy when they score. This looked more like, well, a basketball team bouncing up and down. You couldn't see anything over here up to about 20 feet in the air. Obviously, a very tight game is one that they want to try and get that offense going on. Now South Carolina, we'll see how they're going to respond at that 16-0 score that you mentioned, Kevin.
All right, Chris, you need to get yourself a stepladder down there. You're missing the action. Danny Ford, 6th winningest active coach in Division 1A. And you see what he's done in ACC contests in his 10 years. And he has won himself a 3rd consecutive ACC championship this year.
Well, you know what Danny Ford is doing is an amazing thing down here, and I don't think he's gotten the credit that he deserves. He is the 6th winningest active coach in the NCAA, and he's done nothing but win down here. He's gone to 4 consecutive bowls. He's won 3 back-to-back ACC titles, and I don't care what conference you're in. That's a heck of a pat on the back.
The penalty is assessed against Clemson, and they just kick a grounder. South Carolina's in great field position. This is George Rush. They'll get it inside Clemson territory at the 40. He's at the 35, down to the 33. Now the momentum switches, because South Carolina is in business. It was Chip Davis, again, number 7, who made the tackle that prevented a touchdown. He has prevented 2 touchdowns on kickoff returns today.
I don't know if this was planned for him to kick the ball line drive, but it worked to Clemson's disadvantage. The ball was picked up short, and what a great run back here.
George Rush, the tight end. And he gets it inside the 35. Ellis has missed his last 5 passes. And they run the ball with Green in front of his own blocker. He ran into Rush, but he got it down to the 23 anyway before Doug Brewster brought him down, number 92. So now the crowd sitting in silence, except for the South Carolina side.
Great running backs will always pat their linemen on the back. Look at the hole that they open up for Green. All he has to do is get Rush out of the way, and he's on his way to the end zone.
He got 11 that time. He has 61 on the day. First down, South Carolina. They need points on this drive. Here's Green again. Won't go anywhere. McDaniel. Kirkland and Richard McCullough, number 96, all in on the stop.
Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Clemson was not fooled by the draw that time. And it's really a very quick-hitting draw, and it makes it tough to defend.
2nd down and 11 after a loss of a yard. And now we may see Ellis go to the air, where he has, as I mentioned, missed his last 5. They've abandoned the run and shoot, at least temporarily. Here's Green. Kirkland breaking up the blocking scheme, and then Vince Taylor, number 58, drives him out of bounds.
Clemson's defense is pursuing unbelievably right now. They're getting 5, 6, 7 bodies around the ball no matter where it ends up. But the one thing that leaves them open for is a reverse or a halfback pass.
We'll see if South Carolina has any magic up their sleeve as they look at 3rd down and 8. They're 2 of 5 on 3rd down conversions today. Ellis with a quick snap, headed for the end zone for Brooks, the freshman. Touchdown! Robert Brooks with his 4th touchdown catch of the year, and Ellis with his 9th touchdown pass. I said he missed his last 5. Well, how about that to end the streak?
Well, you know, this kid hasn't passed for 8,308 yards plus by accident. He dropped that ball right into the bucket.
Dexter Davis victimized. Colin Mackey is 24 of 24 on conversions now, and it's a 16-7 ball game. So that penalty on the conversion by Clemson really hurts.
Watch how quickly Ellis gets the ball up in the air. That's the key to this whole play. He lets it go long and outside, where the only guy that can get his hands on it is Brooks. The ball comes down in exactly the right place. If you can't coach it any better than that, that's a perfect throw. I'm ecstatic. I can't even talk.
And the freshman Brooks with a great job of adjusting to it.
to get himself the touchdown. But I can't emphasize enough the importance of that penalty against Clemson on the conversion. A silly play if ever there was one. And it cost Clemson 15 yards on the ensuing kickoff. They kick a grounder. Rush makes a great return. South Carolina sets up shop at the Clemson 33. Well, what are you asking for death when you do that? And they got it.
And the thing that really hurts Clemson is that they've driven the ball long and hard every time they've had the football except one, and they're only 8 or 9 points ahead.
So a big South Carolina touchdown gets the Gamecock fans alive with a minute and a half left here in the half. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, we'll take you on our weekly trip around the league. We'll have one for the books again, as we always do, and we'll update you on all of the scores from around the country. Mackey to kick off. Dropping deep for Clemson, Joe Henderson and Wesley McFadden.
You may be seeing an onside kick right here.
Remember the opening kickoff, Mackey popped the ball straight up. Now he does it again. Jennings, fair catch at the 28-yard line.
You know, I have
an interesting philosophy, Ben.
Yeah, I have to think out loud. Why would they be trying to do that? Are they not covering kicks well enough? Do they see a weakness in Clemson's return team? You got to ask yourself all sorts of questions. Now, Clemson's receiving team has been coached very well, and rather than try to just catch the ball that's hanging up that long and run right into coverage, you're allowed to fair catch that football, just like you can on a punt.
And Danny Ford has them well schooled, and that's twice that they've done it. Allen and McFadden in the backfield. First down, Clemson at their own 28-yard line. Williams to the air to Jennings. Makes the move, but Rabune holds on and brings him down. And there comes the flags. Boy, Derek Little did it in the open. The adrenaline gets pumping, and you get carried away.
Foul, defense, 15 yards, first down.
I'm going to tell you, the unfortunate thing about this for South Carolina is that it's not a big, devastating late hit. He just kind of comes in and bumps Jennings at the end of the run. But again, it's a late hit, and it counts for a big personal foul. You can see Jennings is stopped. There's really no reason to jump on, and he doesn't lay that big a hit on him, but it counts for a penalty, by golly.
15 yards to midfield. Look at Allen balance. Look at this runner, would you? He's to the 44. I mean, he leapfrogged the guy.
You know, these are some of the things you just can't coach. Terry Allen does so many of the little things so well, and it makes him a great back. I talked to Rodney Williams yesterday, and totally unsolicited, he turned to me and said, hey, I'm amazed by what this guy Terry Allen can do, and I am too.
Under 40 seconds now on 2nd and 4. Short gain with McFadden. So Clemson may be just looking for field goal position here as they let the clock. Remember the 2 timeouts they took in the first quarter.
Well, they need to pick up the pace because they're letting a lot of time run off the clock.
They only have 1 timeout left.
They may only run 1 play.
They just allowed 20 seconds to burn. More than 20 now.
They may run out the clock on this play right here.
Amazing. He'll throw to Jennings. He better get out of bounds, and I don't think he did. No, he did not. And they stopped the clock with their last timeout with 1 second left.
Woo!
They'll tell you that's how they drew it up.
Yeah, they planned it that way.
So Gardocki will come on.
I'm going to tell you what, though. There's a lot to be said for running that much time off the clock and then kicking a field goal with no time left. Last week in the Duke-NC State game, Duke scored with 57 seconds left. They scored too quickly and gave NC State a chance to come back, kick a 37-yard field goal, and tie the game. Send them to the Peach Bowl.
Of course, here you'd like to get your guy in better shape than 51-yard kick.
But we've seen Gardocki rip it through from 52 once before this year and just missed from 55.
He's 2 of 5 from plus 50 on the season. His longest to 52 with 1 second remaining. He'll try to make it 19-7. A slight wind is blowing in his face. I'm not sure if it will affect the ball down that low. But if it does at all, it will be a disadvantage to him.
He's got the leg that he can knock this thing through. He just has to be confident and concentrate on what he's doing. And he's got the opportunity to put Clemson up by 12 going in at half. And what a big boost that would be. The
backup quarterback Morocco to hold. He sends it toward the goalpost. That appears to have the distance, but it's off to the side. So the clock expires with Clemson out in front by 9 as Gardocki, 3 of 4 in the field goal department in the first half, has kicked his Tigers into a 16-7 lead. But the late touchdown by South Carolina put a damper on that. And again, it was a penalty on a conversion attempt that set South Carolina up on the ensuing kickoff. It was a Todd Ellis to Robert Brooks 20-yard touchdown pass that brought them back from the 16-0 deficit. And that's where we are at halftime as Danny Ford heads toward the Clemson locker room. We'll be back with a lot of the halftime festivities from Clemson after this from your local ACC station. Game between Clemson and South Carolina with the Tigers on top 16-7 here in Death Valley. Time again for our trip around the league, brought to you by Interstate Johnson Lane, because your first investment is in your broker. As we do each week, we go back a week and take a look at ACC play from last Saturday. How about that Duke North Carolina State game?
Last Saturday's clash between the Blue Devils and the Wolfpack is one that the 52,000 eyewitnesses will not soon forget. Duke's Roger Boone had an All-American day. His first of 3 touchdowns tied the score at 7. Quarterback Shane Montgomery, who came in on passing downs, was 12 of 17 for 205 yards. This was his second touchdown pass to Naz Worthen. Both offenses were on target in the first half as 51 points were scored. Charles Davenport was in on the running downs. 33 of his rushing yards on the day came on this touchdown, which gave State a 40-25 advantage. But Duke wasn't finished. When Anthony Dilwig went out briefly with an injury, backup Ken Hull finished off a 65-yard drive with this 7-yard run. Dilwig returned on Duke's next possession. Then, with just under a minute remaining, he spotted Clarkston Hines in the end zone. Hines' biggest catch of the day put the Duke Blue Devils back in the lead with time running out. NC State's Shane Montgomery got the Wolfpack down the field quickly. With 15 seconds left, Duke appeared to have won the game when a State 4th down pass was intercepted. But a Duke player had been called for illegal contact, and State will still have a chance. Then it was up to freshman Damon Hartman. The 37-yard field goal tied the score, clouding both teams' bowl hopes. Over in Chapel Hill, the Tar Heel seniors were honored before their last home game, but Virginia quarterback Sean Moore's versatility was on display. After an 18-yard touchdown run, the second-year student completed a 50-yard touchdown pass to John Ford. Still in the first quarter, Virginia got lucky when Tim Finkelstein recovered a teammate's fumble in the end zone for 7 more. The Virginia Cavaliers scored 21 first-quarter points, but now it was North Carolina's turn to come back. Todd Burnett and senior Randy Marriott hooked up for 2 touchdowns to get the Tar Heels back in the game. Kennard Martin, who rushed for 98 yards in the game, had a 6-yard run to tie the score at 24. But Virginia's Mark Inderleit's 28-yard field goal gave Virginia the victory.
Mr. Burns.
Clemson leading South Carolina by 9. It's been a great ACC season, and time now to take a look back and recap what has gone on in Delta's One for the Books.
Delta, the airline of ACC country, is proud to bring you another ACC football One for the Books. Delta, we love to fly, and it shows. Back in August, the ACC media was asked to predict the outcome of the conference race. No one was surprised with Clemson's ranking, but the folks in Durham, including head coach Steve Spurrier, were out to prove the media wrong for picking Duke to finish last. And with the help of Anthony Dilwig and Clarkston Hines, they did just that. After a 5-0 start, which included victories over Tennessee and Virginia, Duke is enjoying their best season since 1962. Through 10 games, Dilwig has chalked up well over 3,000 yards and 21 touchdowns. In Atlanta, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets hope to turn things around with the return of Jerry Mays. From early on, Mays showed he is fully recovered. He is second in the conference in rushing and 4th in all-purpose yardage. The Tech defense was ranked nationally all season. Especially strong was the pass defense. Cedric Stallworth and Andre Thomas each had 2 interceptions in one game. Thomas's big game came in Tech's upset win over then number 8 South Carolina. Tech faced Carolina 2 weeks in a row, the second matchup against North Carolina, where Mack Brown inherited a deadly schedule. Also new to the Tar Heel program is freshman quarterback Todd Burnett, who got the starting nod in Game 7. Kennard Martin came on strong as the season progressed. Martin's 177 yards against Maryland is a conference best this year. When Tex Palmer missed a last-second field goal, the Tar Heels had won their first game of the season. Wake Forest quarterback Mike Elkins has had a senior year that has caught the attention of pro scouts. The Unitas Award finalist can become Wake's all-time passing leader with 54 yards today, while Ricky Prohl leads the conference in touchdowns with 10 on the season. A.J. Green's 17th career interception tied a conference record, and Wake's win over Georgia Tech gives the Deacons their first back-to-back winning records in conference play. Conference play got off to an exciting start for the Virginia Cavaliers. Mark Inderleit's last-second field goal lifted Virginia over Georgia Tech for the one-point victory. Place kicker Mark Inderleit was again a key in the battle with the Wolfpack with his record-tying 4 field goals. The Sean Moore to Herman Moore connection became very familiar to Cavalier fans as the Wahoos have won their last 4 games, including a decision over NC State. The conference race was up for grabs when Clemson lost a tough one in Raleigh. The Tigers led until the snap sailed over punter Chris Gardaki's head. Several plays later, Chris Williams scored the winning touchdown. The win put the Wolfpack in the driver's seat on the road to the Citrus Bowl. That is, until the loss up in Charlottesville.
So much like '86 when we came up here, and that game ended up being the difference in us being Atlantic Coast Conference champions.
Yes, 3 years in a row. I mean, there was really nothing positive about this game. I mean, it pretty much crushed our goals.
However, Nasworthen did have a positive season. The senior flanker needs 38 yards today to set a single-season yardage mark to add to his list of school records. The Maryland Terrapins surprised the preseason pollsters by outranking the 6th-place prediction. Maryland's season began to take shape with a come-from-behind victory over State early in the season. That victory, with State's loss to Virginia, meant the Clemson-Maryland matchup would be for the conference title. The Terps got on the board first with Ricky Johnson's first of 3 touchdowns on the day. Coach Krivak says his team played up to their potential in this game. While the Clemson Tigers were looking for their 3rd straight ACC championship, Clemson came right back on their first drive. Gary Cooper scampered 55 yards on the reverse to tie the score. Cooper's other carry of the day would also result in a touchdown. It was a close game until the 4th quarter when, after a blocked punt and interception, Clemson scored 3 touchdowns in 3 minutes. 2 on short runs by tailback Terry Allen, who is the top rusher in the conference. The win gives Danny Ford his 6th conference title as the Clemson Tigers will represent the ACC in the Florida Citrus Bowl on January 2nd. This has been another ACC One for the Books, brought to you by Delta Airlines. We love to fly, and it shows.
Back here in Death Valley at halftime, Kevin Slayton and Ben Bennett. And I guess if you want to talk about surprises in the conference race, it's been a wonderful race, Ben. Maryland, the most pleasant surprise. Virginia picked to contend, started slowly, and now it appears that they're going to be bowl-bound with a 5-game winning streak at the end of the season.
There have been a lot of pleasant surprises in the ACC this year. Wake Forest with back-to-back 7-4 seasons should they beat App State today. Virginia doing not very well in the beginning of the season, but coming on strong at the end. They've got a chance to finish 7-4. Duke with a chance to finish with its best record in 26 years. So you've had a lot of individual efforts and a lot of great team efforts that produced a lot of surprises.
And Clemson did it against all the odds. That is, they were the favorite at the beginning, and they led from start to finish with a slight hesitation in between. Chris Allen is down on the sidelines with the chairman of the Florida Citrus Bowl, Don Disney. Let's go down now to Chris.
It's a giveaway when you say Don Disney and which bowl is he with. Obviously, the chairman of the Citrus Bowl. Now, the obvious question is, you're just going to go around and pick Clemson after the game here, but what about opposition, Oklahoma, Nebraska?
Well, it's my understanding, being here a little while, that a lot of the Clemson people would like to play Oklahoma. So I guess when you're in Clemson, you better pull for Oklahoma.
You've had the experience of having Clemson down there before. Quite a show both ways, I guess, from the Clemson and from the Citrus Bowl with the two together last year.
Well, it sure is, and the fans are so exciting. You know, it's a bowl reps absolutely heyday when they hear somebody say, we'll take all the tickets you can get. And Clemson, we're expanding our bowl this year, or next year, for 20,000 seats. And this year it looks like we're sold out just like this game a long time ago.
Back up on the oranges, and we'll see you down there at Citrus Bowl time. Kevin?
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Clemson on top 16-7. When we return, the executive director of the NCAA, Dick Schultz, will join us. Stay with us.
The Jefferson Pilot Scoreboard, brought to you by Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company.
Back live in Death Valley, 16-7 Clemson at halftime. But here are some other ACC scores and scores of other games. Duke and North Carolina having a titanic struggle in the third quarter. Virginia leading Maryland by just 2 in the third quarter. So a very big game with bowl aspirations there. How about the Wolfpack? Over Pitt at halftime by 11. Army and Boston College, BC won that one 38-24 earlier today. Back here at halftime and joining us up here at the booth is the executive director of the NCAA, Mr. Dick Schultz. And Dick, as I look out at this crowd and this atmosphere today, this big game atmosphere, it's a commercial for the NCAA. This is what it's supposed to be about.
It really is. It's a college classic. You see the 80-some thousand people here, the excitement on both sides, a good football game. It really is. And I think college football may be at the zenith of its popularity right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. And, of course, there's always been a movement underfoot to make a college situation where there is a playoff in college football as there is in basketball. Has there been any more progress toward that?
No, there hasn't. As you probably recall, it came up at the convention last year and was voted down overwhelmingly. I think if we're ever going to have one, there's two groups that are not in favor of it now that are going to have to be in favor of it. Number one are college presidents, and number two, interestingly enough, are college football coaches. Most of the 1A football coaches are opposed to a playoff. They like the bowls, and they just feel it's another pressure they don't need in a highly pressure-packed job right now.
Interestingly, that the coaches would feel that way. All right, we're at halftime. We thank Dick Schultz for joining us, and we'll return to Death Valley with more after this from your local ACC station.
Jefferson Pilot Teleproductions ACC Sports Exclusive is brought to you by the Jefferson Pilot Life Insurance Company. For insurance and financial services, better call JP. By Schlitz Malt Liquor, no one does it like the Bull. By the airline of ACC country, Delta, we love to fly and it shows. And by Buick and your Buick dealers, the great American road belongs to Buick.
Back here at halftime, 16-7 Clemson leading South Carolina. Let's go right down to the sidelines and Chris Allen.
Coach Morrison, it seemed like the last couple of minutes things started clicking after a real rough almost 2 quarters.
Well, you know, we got to put some pressure on Rodney, their quarterback, a little bit. He's kind of getting a little bit too much time to throw. And offensively, we hurt ourselves down there with that fumble. And I think they missed an interception up here, which would have helped us a little bit, you know. But if we can slow them down a little bit, and then we need to get some points on the board.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris. Coach Morrison seems to be relaxed. His team trailing 16-7. Here are the Toyota halftime stats. And none of the numbers really jump out except the total offense, in which Clemson gaining 212 yards. Last year in the game against South Carolina, the Tigers had only 166 total yards the entire game. So they've already jumped away from that. Of course, the turnovers, Ben, 3 for South Carolina, all of those fumbles, and none for Clemson. And as we mentioned earlier in the game, when Clemson commits fewer turnovers than its opposition, they have a 6-0 record this year. So if that stat holds up, they are headed to their 9th victory of the year.
And the difference in the ball game right now, as you saw in the last statistic, was points off of turnovers. Clemson has scored 9 points after South Carolina turnovers, and that's the difference in the ball game.
Chris Gardocki with field goals of 47, 31, and 38 yards. And that young man, Terry Allen, with an 8-yard touchdown run. Those are the Clemson scores. And then Todd Ellis threw to Robert Brooks, 20 yards near the end of the first half to get Joe Morrison's team their only touchdown of the game. South Carolina will get the ball. Rusty Sile will kick off. You know, interestingly enough, as you look at that graphic, Ben, we've seen this year somewhat of a new trend in coin toss selection at the beginning of the game. Teams are deferring. I like that. If I were a team and won the toss, I'd rather have it at the start of the second half because you never know what type of momentum will be present at that time. And it's always good to get the ball.
And another thing it does is it gives you the opportunity in inclement weather. If there was to be a downpour at halftime or a big gusty wind, then you can always have the wind for the fourth quarter. It gives you the opportunity to make your own decision in the second half.
And Clemson now will have to kick off to South Carolina. They send Brooks and Williams deep. Williams over the shoulder, a yard deep, decides to come out. He's in trouble, slips and falls at the 14. Again, it was Chip Davis, number 7, who was down there first. Tell you what, he's headed for a game ball today just on special teams. He's saved 2 touchdowns with tackles already.
I tell you, the guy he reminds me of is Tim Finkelstein at Virginia, because at the beginning of the season we said he doesn't do anything spectacular. He just does a lot of things well.
How about that record against the ACC for the Gamecocks? And the only loss was that stunning upset earlier this year when South Carolina was unbeaten and ranked number 8 in the country. Since then, they've also fallen to Florida State. This is their worst field position of the day as they start at the 14 out of the run and shoot offense. Ellis. Down the sidelines. Look at the, I was going to say, look at the catch by Platt coming back to the ball, but then he dropped it.
Well, if you'll think back to one of the plays that we had in the first half that Donnell Wolford almost intercepted the football, they had a wide receiver running open up the sidelines. They decided to come out and get that baby a fling right off the bat.
And it was there, and Platt just couldn't handle it. You know, Platt is listed as a tight end, but he's only 175 pounds and 5'9". They run their tight ends just like wide receivers. George Rush is the other one, and he also is a light one at 194. Second and 10. I knew I'd call him George Bush before the day was over. There goes Green. He shed one tackler, but not the second one. Doug Brewster, number 92, got a hold of him. So Ellis will face a 3rd and long. 3rd and 8 for the Gamecocks. These are the kind you want to stay out of when you're going against a veteran defensive unit such as Clemson. Ellis has not thrown an interception today. He's been plagued by them all year long. On 3rd down. Plenty of time. Guns it down the middle for Rush at the 40. He's to the 44. And give credit up front to Harris, Shivers, Harwell, Stevens, and Fryer, because all 5 of them kept the Clemson pass rush out of there.
This is the key. Most times when Todd Ellis has a long time to throw the football, he tries to force the ball in. Here he takes the time and looks downfield, throws over top of the Clemson linebackers and in between the safeties. That's a big play for Todd Ellis.
28 yards to George Rush. James Lott made the tackle. First down, South Carolina now at their own 43. Back goes in motion. Green, nowhere. Mark Dragg, number 85, the senior from Charlotte, on top of him in a hurry, along with Jesse Hatcher, number 55.
You know, the amazing thing about Mark Dragg is that he had 71 tackles coming into this game, and he's in the middle of a mess. He usually has at least 2 blockers on him, and he still managed to get in and make 71 hits coming into today.
And he leads the team with 11 tackles for losses. And that one was nearly number 12. Spotted at the original line of scrimmage. The quick toss comes back to Green, and he'll try to get outside. Good job from behind by Levon Kirkland, number 44. He ran him down and held on until McDaniel, number 93, could get there and help out.
South Carolina did a good job initially of sealing off the corner, but Green just couldn't get around the end fast enough, and Clemson's linebackers filled awfully quickly.
Pickup of 3. It'll bring up 3rd and 7. Harold Green playing beat up. Has a torn ligament in his thumb and injured leg, but he's done a great job for the Gamecocks today. 3rd down and 7. They hit on a 3rd and 8 a moment ago. Here comes the blitz. Ellis gets away from it. Now lost it downfield and just tries to throw it away. But a great job from Richard McCullough, number 96, the senior from Loris, South Carolina. Danny Ford wants an intentional grounding.
I'm going to tell you what made that play right there. Jesse Hatcher came up at the very end of the play and blitzed. The offensive tackle moved out to pick him up and left the defensive tackle to run wide open at Ellis.
You saw Price. He'll be kicking it to Wolford. Wolford's longest return this year, 31 yards. And there's another low kick. But he kicks it away from Wolford and gets a great bounce. That'll go dead inside the 10. Oh, as luck would have it for South Carolina, they kill it at the 6. So a low kick by Price. Maybe, Ben, he's done that intentionally because he's done it both times and kicked it away successfully. 12-11 left in the 3rd quarter. We'll return for more ACC action after this. 12-11 left, 3rd quarter. Clemson's in a hole, but They have the lead. Let's go down now to Chris Allen.
We also have a view of the ankle of Harold Green. He came limping off the field a little while ago. Seems to be having some trouble with it and experiencing some pain. So Harold Green for South Carolina having his problems. His high school quarterback was George Rush at Stratford High in the Low Country. He also came off to the sidelines holding his shoulder after that great catch that he had made. And also seems to be having a problem with a helmet, Kevin.
All right, Harold Green bouncing up. He's got his headgear still on. He's ready to come back in. First down Clemson. McFadden and Allen behind Williams. That's McFadden as he crosses the 10. Trying to get it out of that hole. Patrick Hinton, number 46, was on top of him defensively, along with Marty Dye, number 64.
You know, we went down to the sidelines, and Chris was talking about guys that were beat up and this and that and the other. I promise you, unless they've got a crippling injury, these guys are going to get back into the fray. This is for bragging rights in South Carolina, and it's for a lot of pride on the line right now.
To say nothing of the recruiting edge it may give the winner. Williams nearly loses the ball, but comes out of there and ducks down at the 16, 17-yard line. Very close to a first down. Marty Dye was there. They nearly knocked it loose when he was faking it into the belly of McFadden.
You know, I talked about Rodney Williams not being a great runner, but he's a very smart runner. Some of the things that he does that you never notice, as he gets tackled from behind, you can see him turn his shoulders to the tackler so that he can't get a good swipe at the ball. And it doesn't show up in the statistics, but that's a big plus.
They'll measure, and Clemson will be short. I was interested in Dick Schultz's comment that the coaches were against a football playoff system, Ben. That's interesting as we take a look at some scores from around the country. But do you get that feeling, that that's a shared feeling around the country? Duke now trailing North Carolina?
Well, look at the huge bowl payoffs that there are. You know, not every team can play in the NCAA championship or be one of the top 10 teams. So it's a big plus for them to get an opportunity to go to a bowl game and get a big payoff.
Ohio State on the verge of making their season a good one, even though it's been a rough road for John Cooper. They now lead Michigan. That would be a stunning upset. 3rd and 1. McFadden straight ahead. I'll tell you, that's going to be close, but I believe he got it. Danny Ford chewing on his tobacco. Again, our best wishes to Danny and his family. His mother had a heart attack down in Gadsden, Alabama, and he will depart for Gadsden and her home immediately following the game. So we wish him well and a quick recovery and a full recovery to his mother. 10:58 left, 3rd quarter. First down Clemson. They lead 16-7. Williams to the air under pressure. Down the middle, leaping catch by Hooper. He's in the open field, and Windsor brings him down, but not until he's in South Carolina territory.
This is what happens when you can run the football effectively. People are coming up trying to take away the option. Hooper sneaks down the middle, makes a great catch to jump up and catch it behind him, and legs it out across midfield. Big, big play for Clemson. Watch Williams pull up on the option and stick his receiver right in the hand. Hooper makes a good catch and turns up the field to get what he can.
And he got 36 yards as flags fly here. It was Derek Frazier that put the great rush on Williams a moment ago. Tim High may have jumped offside for South Carolina, number 51. We'll wait and see what the officials decide.
You know, as the officials are conferring, I got to tell you, what most people are impressed about Rodney Williams, he's a very, very average quarterback, but he does exactly what he has to do to win. And when it comes down to crunch time, when it comes down to the last 3 or 4 games of the season, and there's an ACC title and a bowl game on the line, Rodney Williams excels.
Dead ball foul. We'll offset here. Procedure here in the neutral zone. First down.
So they'll just do it again. And to underscore what you said, Ben, after October 25th, Rodney Williams is a 56% passer. Before October 25th, he's a 41% passer. So when it's on the line, he is at his best.
He's an Al Davis type of player. Just win, baby.
And that's what you call a player who excels in crucial situations, and that's a winner. The Wolfpack upsetting Pitt. Wake Forest gone out ahead of Appalachian State now by 4. Terry Allen gets the call, but doesn't have a lot of room as
Matt McKernan, number 48, runs him down. Under 10 minutes left in the third quarter here. The 86th meeting between these two schools, both coming in today with 8-2 records before a packed house here at Memorial Stadium in Clemson. Some 12,000 Gamecock fans on hand.
And that packed house has been very quiet most of this half.
Second down and 8 for the Tigers. Williams to the air, the rush coming, he does get rid of it, but it was David Taylor from behind, number 42, that really cracked into Rodney Williams. Made him throw it a little bit before he wanted to. And the ball for Keith Jennings.
The ball also got tipped in the line. You know, you can't coach guts. Watch Rodney Williams stay in the pocket. He knows he's going to get hit. He delivers, and the ball gets tipped in the line, which made it veer off its course, and Jennings couldn't even get close to it.
Couldn't quite tell who got a hand on it. One of the linebackers. There's an interesting hairdo. 3rd and 8 for Clemson. They're 5 of 10 on 3rd down. Williams now, they know it. Oh, this could be a big loss unless he can get rid of it, and he will. What an effort by Rodney Williams. That would have been a 20-yard loss.
I'm going to tell you, that would have been a huge, huge swing in momentum as well as field position. Rodney Williams shows you what a competitor and what a great athlete he is to get away. He comes back faking the sprint draw. Normally he'll set up in the pocket. South Carolina coming with one of their many, many blitzes. Hinton couldn't hang on. Williams managed to squirt outside and throw the ball upfield. There was nobody in the area, but what a great play to avoid the loss by Rodney Williams.
Gardocki to punt. I'll tell you something. As soon as Williams came to the sideline, he was greeted by teammates high-fiving him. That was a sensational play. Here's Platt on the returning end. He's in trouble. He loses the ball. South Carolina got it back. What a big, big recovery by Robert Gibson, number 81. 9 minutes left, third quarter. Clemson by 9. Back after this from your local ACC station. What a scene here at Memorial Stadium, Frank Howard Field in Clemson, South Carolina. Kevin Slayton and Ben Bennett. Better than 80,000 have jammed their way here into the stadium this afternoon. That is the second largest attendance this season, 84,500. They had more against Florida State, but I don't know where they put them, unless they were on top of the scoreboard.
I'll say they must have hung them from the rafters, because this place is packed.
And they're all having a good time. South Carolina in a hole inside their own 10. They've had bad field position here in the second half. Dingle is in there, number 6, at the running back spot. Oh, and Miller drops the ball. Well, they cannot afford drops. It's tough enough to get completions against this Clemson defensive team. A flag is down.
I think this is going to be offensive pass interference.
Ineligible receiver downfield.
Well, I tell you what happened was their tight end, or the guy that lines up as their tight end, was covered by an outside receiver and still ran a pass pattern downfield and collided with the linebacker.
Ineligible receiver downfield on the offense. Penalty is declined. We'll have second down.
2nd and 10 for South Carolina, trailing 16-7. Joe Morrison. 8:54 remaining, third quarter. Mike Dingle still in the backfield, replacing Green, who injured his left ankle a few moments ago. Here's Dingle's first carry of the day. He's a good one, too, and he runs hard up across the 15-yard line. Jesse Hatcher hit him, and Dingle stopped running so hard then.
Well, I'm going to tell you what South Carolina has done is they've gone into the I formation 4 times this afternoon, and they've run the football all 4 times. Clemson is going to start catching on to that and just put a bunch of people up on the line to stuff that.
Dingle out of Monk's Corner, South Carolina. It's got to be one of your favorite times. 3rd down and 4 from the 15. Platt goes in motion. The blitz coming. Oh, nice grab by Dingle, but he cannot turn it into a first down. Ed McDaniel made sure that, number 93. Hatcher forced the quick release, maybe even got a hand on it. Clemson will get the ball back.
Ed McDaniel, only a freshman and leading Clemson in tackles. You got to pat that fella on the back. He's having a big, big year.
Price will try to kick it away from Wolford again. This time he hangs it high. Wolford at his own 46 will return it. And he gets back inside Gamecock territory to the 44 before Robert Gibson brings him down. A 38-yard punt and an 11-yard return as the Clemson Tiger fans love it in Death Valley. We'll come back for more of this colorful pageantry in a moment. Kevin Slayton, Ben Bennett for a rally here in the Valley. Clemson up by 9 with 8 minutes left, third quarter. No scoring here in the third quarter thus far, but Clemson's in position to do some damage now. They're at the South Carolina 44. First down. Tracy Johnson tripped up and dropped, but he gets 4 anyway. Matt McKernan and Derek Frazier combining on the tackle for the Gamecocks. Checking some of the scores from around the country in the ACC. How about that one? The Tar Heels coming from behind. Virginia and Maryland with about a minute left in that one. What a battle that one is. And North Carolina State hanging on, trying to beat Pitt and head to the Peach Bowl. Wake Forest still keeping their bowl hopes alive as they lead by 4. Williams guns it out complete, and immediately dropped is Gary Cooper. How about the hit by Ron Rabune?
Cooper went down, made his cut, and as he turned around, the ball was just a little bit off to his right. You'll see at the end of the catch, as he gets his hands on the football, it kind of threw his balance off, and once he catches it, he kind of freezes because he's off balance, and boom, Rabune just tattoos him for it.
Defensive backs love that scenario. Third and short again, 3rd and 2. The pitch to Allen. I believe he has it. McKernan, number 48, along with Derek Frazier, number 90. He needed to get to the 34, and I think he got past the 34. Enough to give him the first down. But they're going to measure it anyway.
Well, you know the guy's name that we haven't mentioned much for South Carolina today is Patrick Hinton. Single-handedly, he beat NC State. He had 3 interceptions, one of which he ran back for a touchdown. He recovered a fumble. He had a quarterback sack. I mean, he's just a big play type of player, and he really, really hasn't gotten into the defensive flow so far today.
First down. Now let's go down to the sidelines and Chris Allen. Chris?
You were talking about how tough these guys were and how they were going to play anyway. Kevin Hendricks has been playing hurt this entire half with a bad hip, and he seems to really be limping on the sidelines. George Rush is number 14 to tell you how tough he is. Not only was he a quarterback in high school and a catcher on the baseball team of college quality, he also started boxing in junior high school and became a national Golden Gloves champion. George Rush, that's how tough he is.
That is tough. First down for Rodney Williams. Guns it deep and overthrows the intended receiver, Ricardo Hooper.
Rodney just a little late delivering the football, and he had to throw it high because if he throws it low, the defensive back has a chance to cut in front and make the grab.
When I talk about Rush being tough, not because he boxed, but because he was a catcher. That's when you're tough. Danny Ford. 3 consecutive ACC titles for that head coach. 2nd and 10 for his Clemson Tigers now. They're at the South Carolina 34. Williams again, a quick drop, and he hooks it out complete. Cooper breaks the tackle and has the first down. McKernan brought him down, but Gary Cooper really displaying his talents today.
2 plays ago, you saw the Clemson wide receiver off balance and get tattooed by the defensive back. This is what a receiver can do to you when he has his balance. He turns up and breaks the tackle of Rabune. And if McKernan hadn't gotten down there and gotten his hands on him, Cooper would have been celebrating 6 points right now.
12 yards on that play. 4 catches today for Cooper, 63 yards. There's a final. Virginia has defeated Maryland by a point. The Cavaliers win their last 5 to finish 7-4. What a comeback story that has been. Allen, how about this for a comeback? He was trapped for a big loss. He may take it in. He's out of bounds inside the 5.
He is just too good, Ben.
You know, the amazing thing about this guy, he reminds me so much of another great running back named Allen, Marcus Allen. This is what he does so well. He sees the field and doesn't waste any motion. When he makes his cut, he's moving back and moving up the field. Again, Davis downfield making blocks.
20 yards on that carry. He has 69 on the day. First and goal from the 2. Johnson stopped short. Corey Miller, number 33, a sophomore out of Pageland, South Carolina, made the tackle, his first of the day.
Well, I think you'll see Tracy Johnson get the football till he ends up in the back of the end zone. This guy is just so tough to stop down low.
7 carries, 20 yards today for Tracy Johnson. He gets his yardage the hard way. Danny Ford would feel a little bit better with another touchdown lead here. Under 5 minutes left, third quarter. Johnson, did he get in? Yes, he did. The Clemson players don't think so. Or the South Carolina players, I should say. For Johnson, his 8th touchdown rushing of the year. Rusty Sile comes on for the conversion out of the hold of Chris Morocco. Tell you what, Sile's been all over the place with those conversions, and he missed that one. So now 2 touchdowns, and one of which could be an 8-pointer, would tie the game.
No big secret what Clemson's going to do. They're going to give the football to Tracy Johnson, and their offensive line is going to get down as low as they can and push South Carolina's defensive linemen as far back into the end zone as they can. This is not what's known as finesse football.
It's result-oriented. 4:56 remaining in the quarter. 22-7. Clemson will be back after this from your local ACC station. Back here in Death Valley, Kevin Slayton and Ben Bennett, 15-point Clemson lead. They missed the extra point, though. And South Carolina still has its work cut out for it because they are down 15. They must get something going offensively. Joe Morrison knows that. And so does his Gamecock team.
Well, you know, Kevin, we spoke at the top of the show and throughout the telecast about what a big impact player Todd Ellis is and what as many yards as he's thrown for, 8,400 in his career. The one thing we haven't talked about is how well Rodney Williams has thrown the ball so far. Rodney's completed 11 out of 18 for 169 yards and hasn't been picked off.
His final regular season game. The total yard numbers are impressive for Clemson, 305 to 164. The last 3 games this year, Clemson has really turned its offense around. They've come out of the deep freeze. The freshman Brooks at the 2. Flag goes down. You're going to see an illegal block.
Blocking below the waist, and the guy that was hit was Levon Kirkland.
And it appeared as though Mike Dingle,
Griffin on the run back.
Dingle threw the clip. So South Carolina's work was difficult to begin with. Now it gets tougher because they're going to be backed up inside their own 15-yard line.
As you see Todd Ellis trot on the field, some of the things that never get mentioned about college ball players. You know, you hear the steroid scandals and all that kind of stuff. Todd Ellis is a member of the State Attorney General's program called Be Free to Succeed. It's a big anti-drug program. He goes around and talks to kids all the time. He's out and about in the community. He's been called one of the most popular players ever to play football for South Carolina.
You see all of the records that he's established thus far. And remember, he's only a junior. They'll run the draw with Green, who's back in there, and boy, did he get busted down, and I mean hard. Doug Brewster has really made his presence known today.
I tell you what, that's throwing the ball around right there. And he's only a junior. He's well within reach of Todd Santos. all-time NCAA passing record.
His only negative is that interception total, which stands at 63. Second down and 7. He's having trouble getting the play off. But he does. He gets it off and now hangs it up high for Brooks, the freshman, but Wolford was right with him.
Well, that'll show you some of the field savvy of Todd Ellis. He could see that Clemson was coming with a blitz. He audibled to a play that he thought he could make his team have the advantage on. Unfortunately, he tried to throw the football up to his freshman wide receiver, Robert Brooks, being covered by everybody's All-American, Donnell Wolford.
Third down now for South Carolina, 3rd and 7, and you get the feeling that it may be starting to slip away from the Gamecocks, even though we still have 4 minutes left in this third quarter.
But he can't press. He can't throw an interception or have a turnover here.
He guns it deep from Miller. Dexter Davis is right with him. They've gone away from the middle of the field, which was open for them earlier. And now Clemson will get the ball back and get it in excellent field position again.
And with Donnell Wolford back there, you have to think not only are they going to get it in good field position, they may have a shot at scoring.
Price touches it off.
Oh.
His best punt of the day sends Wolford back to his 39. He makes a nice move. Flag goes down, though, as he breaks clear. Remember, there's a flag down. Wolford will take it all the way, but it's going to come back. A sensational return of 61 yards, but all the celebrating is dampened by a little yellow flag down on the 40-yard line. And the clip will bring it back. I'll tell you what, though, that was a heck of a run.
And you know, if it hadn't been for the clip, boy, would I look like a genius.
They'll bring it all the way back to the 25-yard line.
First down.
See if we can pick it out at the bottom of the screen.
Watch the clip right at the bottom of your screen on 35, right there. But watch the individual effort by Donnell Wolford. In addition to having great acceleration, he knows where he is on a football field and knows how to get away from people.
47-yard punt, and Clemson will start from their 26. That's a big break for South Carolina. Here's a busted play. Terry Allen fell down. Rodney Williams loses the ball, but he fell on it. Whew. I'll tell you what, that would have been 2 disastrous plays in a row that would have worked against Clemson.
And what a huge momentum swing to go from getting a touchdown to having it called back to turning the ball over deep in your own end zone. That's dodging 2 big bullets right there.
You may not recover from those kinds of things. That lost 6 yards. 2nd and 16 for Clemson. Terry Allen simply slipped as he was approaching the handoff. Williams. Hooper trying to shake loose at the 30. Tell you what, that safe passing game of Clemson's is so effective because it takes away all of the risk of the interception.
The reason it's tough to defense for South Carolina is they've got so many people committed to stopping the run that they have to really pursue hard. If Rabune misses the tackle, you can see he's the only guy out there. So what they're trying to do is turn all the outside stuff back inside and let their linebackers make the tackle.
Indiana pounding Purdue. Word is they're headed to the Liberty Bowl to play South Carolina. Williams on 3rd down. It's incomplete and no flag. Rabune was covering Jennings. And Rabune is down, holding his left knee. .218 remaining in the third quarter. See if we can tell how he got himself injured.
Rodney Williams trying to go back to the same pass pattern he threw to the other side of the field. Hooper is covered, so he tries to go to Jennings, and it looks like he falls right on his wrist.
That's what he's holding, and it buckled underneath him. So Rabune, the senior from La Palma, California. Tough break for him.
And you know he has trouble explaining it when he says, I go to USC living in L.A.
Illinois they still have hopes for a bowl, and they lead Northwestern. If they beat Northwestern, they should be bowl bound. Iowa State proving to be stubborn for Barry Sanders and Oklahoma State. That one's in the second quarter. Oklahoma State will be in somebody's bowl game.
And Barry Sanders, boy, what a player he is.
Woo! Tell you what, they talk about Aikman and Pete, but Barry Sanders gets my vote for the Heisman.
Absolutely. Only the third running back in NCAA history to go over 2,000 yards.
Gardocki with a low line drive. Oh, Brooks has trouble with it. That'll dig South Carolina a deep, deep hole. Unless he can get out of it. And he can't. Drops it to 9.
Levon Kirkland.
A freshman mistake. And South Carolina has really gotten to know their own 10-yard line real well here in the second half.
This is a tough catch because the ball doesn't turn all the way over and it sails past him. He does a good job to pick it up and try to get back upfield, but Levon Kirkland says, hey, you're too far down here for me to let you get away.
They'll start from their 9, a 66-yard punt when you include the roll, so Gardocki kicks his team into great field position, pinning South Carolina against its own goal line where they've been the entire second half. Ellis, he needs a big play. Down the middle he goes into traffic. McDaniel had the best shot at it, number 93 for Clemson.
I'm going to tell you, starting with the last series when South Carolina had the football, Todd Ellis started pressing. Now he looks a little tight. He's not delivering the ball with the same authority that he was earlier. The thing he cannot afford to do right now is turn the football over trying to make a big play.
His offense has averaged possession in the second half at their own 11-yard line. So when you're not getting the ball in any better shape than that, you do tend to press, I would think.
It ain't easy, I can tell you that much.
And he wants a timeout.
This is a good time to take a timeout, though, because it gives him a chance to talk to Morrison and his offensive coordinator, settle down a little bit, and come back out with a better feel for what they're trying to do.
Al Groh, the offensive coordinator for South Carolina. There is a final score. Duke comes back to defeat North Carolina, and the Ben Bennett's of this world rejoice. Virginia hung on and defeated Maryland, so the Terps playing for the ACC championship a week ago end up 5-6. How about Notre Dame, top-ranked Irish, now will, if they hold on, head into their showdown with Southern Cal next week. The Irish headed for the Fiesta Bowl to play West Virginia. West Virginia has a big game with Syracuse still to play. Our score 22-7 Clemson. The winner of this game will have 9 victories for the season.
You know, going back to the Duke-UNC score, a lot of people are going to get upset about this. But, you know, I went to school at Duke, and that program has come an awfully long way. They came back and beat North Carolina today. They've come back in their last 2 games. 7-3-1 is the best record that Duke has had in 26 years. Credit Coach Spurrier and his staff and a great bunch of senior athletes at Duke University.
And another heartbreaking defeat for Mac Brown and the Tar Heels. They've been so close so many times. Ellis has a man wide open and a great catch. I believe it was Platt. And that's who it was. A leaping grab. That's when you hope your receivers help you out a little bit. And they get out of a big hole.
This is a great play because the run and shoot. You can see the 2 receivers running down deep. They put James Lott in a bind. He has to take one or the other. Whichever one he doesn't take, Todd Ellis will deliver the ball to, and that's a big gain to get him out of a deep hole in their own territory.
Only 2 completions in the second half for Ellis, and you just saw one of them. The other was a little swing pass. Quick toss back to Green. He's got some blockers out in front, but that hole closed in a hurry. He got maybe 2.
Well, I want to tell you the difference in the way Clemson runs the football and the way South Carolina runs the football. Clemson's wide receivers go 8 to 10 yards down the field and put their helmet right on a defensive back. Clemson's defensive backs have come up on South Carolina's wide receivers and stuffed them at the line, which causes the running back to have to turn up into pursuit.
2nd and 8. There's our story. Ellis to the air. He's got Brooks, the freshman. Oh, he makes a nice move along the sidelines, and I believe a flag is thrown.
It's going to come back for a clip.
Carl Platt will be the guilty party. Well, penalties have really started to play a big role here in this second half.
Clip in on the offense.
The frustration of Joe Morrison.
This is the same pass play that South Carolina used 2 plays ago to get him out of the hole. This time the underneath wide receiver is the open receiver. He throws to Brooks, but watch the clip coming back right here. Right there. Wasn't even close.
So they'll move it all the way back to the 22, and it'll be 2nd and 17. So Todd Ellis now has to go to work again. Keith Bing is in the backfield. Number 26, Ellis. The flags are down. Did the clock expire on him?
I believe he ran out of time. And the reason he ran out of time, Clemson moving in and out, showing blitz and coming back out.
Delay of the game on the offensive team, dead ball foul.
Todd Ellis trying to put his team in a better situation and audible to a more effective play. He just didn't have the time to do it.
Top-ranked Notre Dame remains unbeaten. Penn State goes to 5-6. North Carolina State apparently headed to the Peach Bowl and looking good. Looks like they'll hold on and beat Pitt. The ACC has a chance of getting 5 teams in the bowl. That'll all be determined tonight. Nearly intercepted by Lott. He had a good shot at it.
He made a good adjustment to the football. It looked like the ball got tipped in the line, which is what made it end up behind the receiver. Watch as Lott gets his hands on the ball. Just couldn't hang on. Boy, that would have been a big, big turnover for Clemson.
This could be the longest third quarter on record. And it still has 12 seconds to run. 3rd and 22. Ellis with time. That's a wobbler. Brooks did a great job to go up and get it. Had he not done that, Dexter Davis may have been able to pick it off. You talk about savvy. There's some on the part of the freshman. He could have just waited for that ball, but he didn't. As the third quarter comes to an end.
Clemson secondary knows how long they got to go to get the first down. So they're just laying back and waiting for the receivers to go up in the air. Lott delivers a big shot.
Fourth quarter still to come. We'll return to Death Valley in a moment. Death Valley, Clemson leading 22-7. Kevin Slayton and Ben Bennett. Let's go down now to Chris Allen.
Thank you very much. Number 6, number 8 on the sidelines. Number 6, Mike Dingle, was on the bench a little bit earlier with a hurt knee. And you get the feeling that's the main reason why Harold Green is still in, even though he is limping. Number 8 is Colin Mackey. We mentioned the kickoffs earlier going short. He is the short kicker, and they were afraid of maybe some long returns if the ball were not to go into the end zone. And that's why Mackey was doing the kickoffs earlier, trying to actually loft them to avoid the return. I'd been warned about it before the game, and now I actually saw it. Kevin?
And thus, perhaps, the short kicks on the punting game from Price. You see some of those scores that we passed along to you earlier. These are our numbers. You had to read those quickly. We're just underway in the fourth quarter. Clemson first down. They are inside their own 15 at the 14-yard line. There's Terry Allen. He slips and falls. It's getting a little bit slippery out there. It had rained this morning and some last night, but it appeared the field was in good shape, but I've seen a couple of players starting to slip. We want to take this opportunity to pass along happy birthday wishes to Eddie Hollifield. Fast Eddie, our cameraman up here in the booth. He's giving you that shot right there of the balloon that's over Memorial Stadium here in Clemson. There's Fast Eddie's camera, but we can't see Eddie. Step out and say hi, Eddie, so the folks can see you. There he is. Happy birthday to Eddie Hollifield. Tells me he's 29 years old today again.
For the 18th time.
Rodney Williams throws a grounder. So that'll bring up third down.
This is the first time we've seen that type of pass from Rodney Williams. They've run that in the past 2 or 3 weeks very effectively. but the type of defense that South Carolina runs almost takes that play away completely.
You ever play golf with Eddie? He's unbelievable. Don't get out there and play him unless you get about 15 strokes. Danny Ford's team looks at 3rd and 10. Williams in trouble. That was a dangerous pass, but Jennings turns it into a first down. I got to tell you something. If Keith McDonald had been alert, he could have picked that ball off.
This is why this pass is so difficult against this defense, because people get around you. Rodney Williams does a great job of getting the ball off, and Keith Jennings does a super job of moving ahead for the first down.
McDonald just did not anticipate it. So a big first down for the Tigers. Helps get them out of the hole. Nearly missed connections on the handoff with McFadden. Theardis Woodard, number 55, brought him down. Clemson still hasn't turned it over.
You know, one of the things that doesn't get talked about a lot that Clemson does to you, by hanging on to the ball for so long and chunking out yardage, 3 yards here, 5 yards here, 6 yards here, not only do they pick up yardage and wear down the clock, they take away a lot of your emotional edge. They take away your enthusiasm.
3 of those 5 offensive linemen that open those holes are seniors. They'll be departing after the Florida Citrus Bowl. Williams down the middle, threw it behind Cooper. Campbell was trying to cover him. Rodney's enjoying himself, though, having a smile.
Shoot, he should be enjoying himself. He's going to his 4th consecutive bowl game. He's already won his 3rd ACC title. He's a career leader in passing attempts, completes, and yards at Clemson. He's won more games than anybody else, and he's going to go out and buy himself another Corvette. What more can you ask for out of life?
30 victories for Rodney Williams. He's 13 of 23 today for 192 yards, and he's hit the big play when they've needed it. And on 3rd and 7, he does it again, but Allen can't hold it. A flag is thrown into the backfield, however. Well, let's wait and see. If it's against Clemson, they'll have to punt it away. And it is a holding penalty.
Patrick Blackwell's on the deck for South Carolina.
Well, even though there are 13 minutes remaining, I would say it's imperative for South Carolina to get something done point-wise with this next possession. They need to build some confidence, Ben. Do you agree?
Well, you can, like I said, when Clemson keep their hands on the ball for so long, they just take away your enthusiasm and your emotional edge. And when you're a quarterback like Todd Ellis that likes to throw the football, you're almost like a pitcher. You get in a certain rhythm. And when you sit on the sidelines in cold weather like this, you get out of that rhythm and you get a little cold, and it takes you a little bit longer to get cranked back up.
Hate to see Blackwell being carried off like that. The sophomore out of Ladson, South Carolina. Hope he's all right. Platt has dropped deep for South Carolina as Gardocki gets ready to punt it away. He's booted 166 yards today. He hustles that one and gets a pretty good kickoff. Platt back to his 22. You notice Brooks is not back there after he missed the last one. And Platt brings it back about 11 or 12 yards. 12:49 left. We'll be back with more after this from your local ACC stations. 2-7, Clemson leads with 12:49 left. South Carolina has it. First down from their own 33. Todd Ellis and his counterpart, Rodney Williams. That's what they've done today. Neither has thrown an interception. Both have been effective. This is the best field position South Carolina has enjoyed in the second half. And they're going for it all on this one to Miller. He comes back for it, but Dexter Davis does a good job. Then South Carolina appears to have abandoned the short passing game.
Well, they're trying to get it all back in one fell swoop. The ball's thrown on time and on rhythm. Unfortunately, it wasn't thrown long enough, but I don't think Dexter Davis would have been out of position anyhow. He had good coverage and would have made the play regardless of where the ball was thrown.
2nd and 10 for Todd Ellis. Now 11 of 25 for 141 yards. And he goes to the air again. In the face of a heavy rush, it's intercepted. Rusty Scarpia with his 3rd interception of the year. Well, Ben, you've said all day, if you rush Todd Ellis, he tends to throw interceptions. They rushed him, and he did.
This shows a lot of poise for Ellis to stand in the pocket, but he delivers the ball late, and Sharpia, playing center field, comes up and makes a great grab. Watch Ellis hesitate right before he throws the football. You can see the little double clutch, and the second effort put Sharpia right in position to make the grab.
Clemson has it at the Gamecock 43. Terry Allen gets inside the 40, dropped at about the 39-yard line. David Taylor, number 42, makes the tackle for the Gamecocks. This is where you have to stand up and be counted if you're South Carolina's defense.
Clemson scores a touchdown right here. They can, for all intents and purposes, bury South Carolina.
4 turnovers. Clemson has been error-free in that department. As an interested observer.
Looks like Ike, the lucky dog.
Inside hand up to Tracy Johnson. Look at him throw the tackler aside. And he's still on his feet. Now he slips and falls. Marty Dye was the first to hit him. Number 64. And I tell you what, he's 258 pounds, and Tracy Johnson shed him like a piece of meat.
Now, to give you an idea what Tracy Johnson is like, imagine running out in the street and trying to tackle a Volkswagen bus. This guy is just so strong and so aware of where he is on the field. He's going to make you pay whether you're trying to take on his block or trying to tackle him.
3rd and 1. Rodney Williams, first down and then some. He may break it. Inside the 15, inside the 10. Great block from Keith Jennings, the wide receiver.
If you're a Clemson fan, you love to see this. Now watch what I said earlier about Rodney being a smart runner. Watch how he uses his wide receiver's block down the field. He runs right behind him, sets the block by Jennings up, and moves ahead for big yardage for Clemson.
26 yards for Williams on the carry. The senior enjoying perhaps his finest 2 games of the year back-to-back. The great game he had last week and another great one here today. 1st and goal from the 8. Allen trips and falls, gets maybe to the 7.
One of the things you might look for down here, although they're executing well enough that they may not need to, but Clemson, after Rodney Williams fakes, after he pitches the ball, he's faking a bootleg, and South Carolina is not honoring his fakes. They could very easily fake the pitch to Allen and turn and let Rodney run untouched into the corner of the end zone.
Under 11 minutes remaining. Clemson going for what they hope will be the clinching touchdown. Williams at the 5. Touchdown! 70 yards on the touchdown run.
And man, that has got to make Rodney Williams happy. His last game in Death Valley, a place he's played for 4 years, and given these fans a tremendous amount of his heart, gets to score a touchdown at the end of the game. I can promise you he's excited.
Danny Ford loves it. 6th touchdown run of the season for Rodney Williams. And Sile, who missed one earlier. Guess this one. One of these days I'll ask Danny Ford why he changes kickers for the conversion. It's hard to figure.
Well, you know, down close and on short yardage situation, Tracy Johnson's been the man. Rodney Williams fakes it, takes the ball into the end zone. Like I said, not a great runner, but boy, he sure gets the job done. And that's Rodney Williams in a nutshell. Nothing spectacular, just win the football game.
This crowd of 84,000 plus is alive. 10:44 left. We'll return to Death Valley. Clemson in command. Number 31. Remember, we showed you the graphic on him earlier that he's better than 50% in his completion ratio today. When he completes 50% or better, he is unbeaten as a starting quarterback. He's 16-0-2.
you know, you got to pat that young man on the back because he's such a nice guy. He's a good quarterback. Everybody likes him. He just got so much going for him. I'd really like to see Rodney get a shot to play some ball after this season. The pro scouts aren't real high on him because he doesn't do all the classic pro things. But, you know, this kid's a winner. He does what you got to do to win football games. And I think he might be able to do that at the professional level, should somebody put him in the right situation.
Rusty Sile will kick off. Brooks and Williams are deep. Williams at the 14. They've been close to breaking this all day, and he gets it back to the 37. It's been one of their more effective offensive weapons. Jerome Henderson, number 36, brought him down.
Well, here's a situation that if you're a quarterback, you like to think this is the situation I want to be in, where I've got to throw the ball and come back and win the football game. But this is not a great team to be trying that against. Clemson doesn't have to bring a lot of people to get bodies around the quarterback.
10:38 remaining. Ellis and the Gamecocks need a lot of points. Keith Bing straight up the middle. John Johnson met him. There's Rodney Williams, all-time leader in passing yardage in Clemson history. Also in passing attempts and pass completions. And he's number 2 in total offense. Second and 7 after a pickup of 3. Ellis to the air. And just has it slip out of his hand, I think. He was looking for Hardin Brown, number 11.
I can tell you one of the things made the ball slip out of his hand. The rush is starting to get to Todd Ellis. If not physically, mentally. He threw that ball backing up when there really wasn't anybody close to him.
South Carolina under Joe Morrison this year, when they've gone on the road, they've averaged 16 points a game, and today they have just 7. They've struggled on the road. Their offense has struggled down the stretch. Just 3 touchdowns in the last 6 games for this offensive team. Things have just gone sour on that side of the ball for the Gamecocks. And he guns that one too high, intended for Pratt. So they'll have to punt it away. And that means Rodney Price. And Wolford drops deep for Clemson. It's starting to get very frustrating for Todd Ellis now.
Clemson's defense will do that to a lot of quarterbacks.
Wolford at his 13 makes a nice move. Now he's dropped. An excellent play getting down there on special teams to number 87, Mike Tolbert. There is a flag down. Way upfield at about the 40-yard line. I'll tell you what, Tolbert didn't go for the fake and stayed right with Wolford and then dropped it.
Hey, he was in overdrive from the time the ball was snapped.
Official forgot which side the camera's on. Looked like a face mask, though.
Not only did he forget which side the camera was on, he forgot who his face mask was on.
Not going to get much camera time. There you
go.
Face mask on the kicking team on a run back, 15 yards, first down.
Rod Daly, our referee today, doing a great job down there. I'll tell you what, it's easy to get disoriented down there. There are 80,000 screaming people in the stands. You got 22 football players down there telling you every decision you make is wrong. 9:43 left. We'll return to Death Valley for more football in a moment. Ben Bennett, 29-7. Clemson with 9:43 remaining in the War of South Carolina. Gamecocks have won or tied each of the last 2 games, but not today. In this series, it's going to be dominated by Clemson today as you take a look at how they've done it. Gardocki got them off on the left foot with 3 consecutive field goals to take a 9-0 lead. Then South Carolina got a 20-yard touchdown pass to Brooks near the end of the first half. That made it 16-7. Hasn't been that close in the second half. Williams going for more. There's Cooper, but he overthrows him. And that time, Robert Robinson was with him. There's some of the fruit you see on the ground because they're headed to the Citrus Bowl. Then in the second half, Clemson got their running game cranked up. Tracy Johnson and Rodney Williams who scored touchdowns. Thus the 29-7 count.
I tell you, Rodney Williams is still in the game, and he's still pitching the ball around. The thing I'd like to absolutely see, I'd like to see him substitute Morocco in for him, let him trot off, and let this hometown crowd of 84,000 show their appreciation for what this kid has done over the last 4 years.
The inside handoff to McFadden that time gets maybe a couple. David Taylor, the junior out of Asbury Park, up in New Jersey, made the tackle. Well, even though the Gamecocks are losing this one, the word is that Todd Ellis and South Carolina are headed to the Liberty Bowl to battle Indiana. That bowl invitation expected to be extended immediately following this one. Indiana winning big over Purdue today. They were in the Rose Bowl hunt for the longest time, but ran into a buzzsaw in Ann Arbor. Jennings not able to come up with that one. I'm a little surprised that Clemson passing 2 out of the 3 downs with a 29-7 lead. They'll have to punt it away now. It's been a rough day for the Gamecock fans, but friendship is still there. Somewhat.
This is almost like the Civil War down here because you actually have some families that are split on which team to pull for.
Well, 12,000 Gamecock fans are here. That's evidence. Woo! Nearly a blocked punt. And the freshman, Brooks, the fair catch back at his 22. Some more scores to pass along to you from around the country. These are final scores. We told you about Duke and Virginia. They both won. Top-ranked Notre Dame a winner. Virginia Tech also a winner. Michigan State wins big. They think they're headed to a bowl game. Michigan came from behind to beat Ohio State. Kentucky loses to Tennessee in Furman over the Citadel. So some surprising scores. Ohio State had Michigan down in the 4th quarter. But what a nightmare first year for John Cooper in Columbus. They thought 8-3 was bad. Whew. Somewhere Earl Bruce is smiling. Here's Williams. Tries the right side and gets big yardage. Nearly broke it into the clear. Gets up near the 35 and across it before Rusty Sharpia able to bring him down. Gerald Williams, the junior from Atlanta.
South Carolina needs 3 touchdowns and at least 1 2-point conversion to get back into this. I think they need to throw the football down the field. They haven't got 8 minutes and 30 seconds is a lot of time, but not when you're playing Clemson as much time as they can run off the clock when they get their hands on the football.
Yeah, it's doubtful that South Carolina would even get 3 possessions in the last 8.5 minutes. And they're running the ball. Williams, he's up to the 45 before Beasley brings him down. If you're a college basketball fan, some Big Apple NIT scores from last night. North Carolina opening with a big win in the Dean Dome. Syracuse struggled to get past LaSalle by 4. How about the big upset? Xavier upsets Louisville by a deuce. And Montana upsets Stanford. Indiana wins big. Missouri wins big over a stubborn Southwest Missouri State. Wyoming over SMU. Georgia winning over Arkansas State. Those were all from last night. Straight up the middle they go with Keith Bing. So 3 consecutive running plays. I guess they figure they weren't making it passing. Might as well run it.
That and they may just be thinking to themselves, hey, we're out of this one. Let's mercifully run some time off the clock
and go to the Liberty Bowl.
You know, we were talking about basketball. The ACC has 2 of the top 5 teams ranked in the country this year. Of course, Duke being #1 and North Carolina being #5. In addition, we'll talk about some of the other sports around the ACC in just a second.
First down, South Carolina. They run it some more. Bing again. This time he gets 9. Let's go down to Chris Allen down on the sidelines. Chris?
All right, we have some seniors behind us, senior linemen, and already starts thinking about fuel for next year for South Carolina Gamecock fans. They count down the roster, and South Carolina can figure only 12 seniors on their roster. Clemson has 24 seniors on that roster. That adds up to a big plus for Gamecock fans for next year. Just trying to give Gamecock fans some fuel for next season. Kevin?
The biggest plus for the Gamecocks is that Rodney Williams graduates for Clemson and Todd Ellis comes back for them. They run it again with Williams. First down. Another move in the ball.
South Carolina showing some surprising punch in the running game here.
6.5 minutes left, however.
You know, Kevin, we were talking about other sports around the ACC. You know, it's not just football and basketball that goes on. There's a lot of men and women student athletes at each school that work very hard and go without a lot of national attention. This year, out of the Final Four women's soccer team in the country, North Carolina ranked #1 and unbeaten in their last 65 games, and NC State are all in the Final Four.
Congratulations to all of those teams. Here's the first pass of this drive, and Ellis wants a bunch. Dexter Davis nearly picks it off. Wake Forest is trying to get themselves into a bowl game, and they played to a tie against Appalachian State. And that'll probably kill their bowl hopes.
They had to win that football game to get an opportunity to go. Now it looks like they'll take UTEP.
Sticks 4-1 is the final ledger for Wake Forest. It may open up the hole for Duke, perhaps. I would suspect that Virginia, with a 7-4 record and 5 straight wins to end the season, has to be somebody's choice.
Well, I think Texas El Paso at 9-2 has the most legitimate shot.
Williams with a nice run. A lot over there to bring him down. You're talking, of course, about the All-American Bowl, correct? Ben?
Huh?
Talking about the All-American Bowl.
Right, yeah. So here we go. Watch Levon Kirkland get turned inside. This is the key to getting South Carolina's tailbacks outside. You've got to knock the containment down inside.
First down, Gamecocks at the Clemson 26. 5:38 remaining.
South Carolina's mounting a drive here.
Well, they have Clemson confused, and they go on a quick snap. Williams inside the 25, down to the 23. Richard McCullough, number 96, got a hold of him.
The unfortunate thing for South Carolina, although they are moving the football, they're running precious time off the clock. One touchdown's not going to do them any good. 2 touchdowns will pull them within striking distance. But again, Clemson gets their hands on the football, and they run the time off the clock as well as any team we've seen this year.
Second and 7 for the Gamecocks. Ellis in trouble. Down he goes at the 31.
Well, you remember earlier in the game when Todd Ellis just stood up after he got the snap and threw the ball out, and the receiver never looked. He had the same coverage, the same type of play. He stood up to throw. Again, the receiver didn't look, but Ellis had the presence of mind to pull it down.
4.5 minutes remaining. Danny Ford will depart immediately for Gadsden, Alabama, to visit with his mother, who suffered a heart attack last night. So the Gamecocks have done with this possession. We were told, by the way, Danny Ford's mother is in stable condition. You've got to be thinking about that. It's tipped and nearly picked off. Intended for Keith Bing. So the Clemson defensive team holds on 4th down, and Todd Ellis will depart 11 of 30, 141 yards, and that may be his last visit to the field today. As Ben has said, Clemson gets hold of that ball, 4 minutes left. They could just put it away.
Well, South Carolina fans rejoice in the fact that Todd Ellis will be back to fight again another day.
Mackey on for a field goal attempt. This one will come from about 48 yards. He was 5 of 8 in this distance. Did he get it? He certainly did. So Mackey adds 3 on for the Gamecocks. So a moral victory of sorts for South Carolina. They now trail 29-10 with exactly 4 minutes left, and will return in a moment. Clemson on top by 19 with 4 minutes remaining. Kevin Slayton, Ben Bennett live from Death Valley as the Tigers get set to close out their campaign at 9-2 and head into the Florida Citrus Bowl and attempt the 10th victory. Beautiful scenery here at Frank Howard Field and Memorial Stadium. 84,000 plus on hand here today for the 86th renewal of this great collegiate rivalry between South Carolina and Clemson.
Been overcast and damp and cold all day, but it's warm in the hearts of Clemson fans. Mackey kicks off an onside attempt. Good job of fielding the ball by Hooper. Ricardo Hooper with good hands, and that's why he's up there on those onside situations. He made a difficult catch look easy.
This is a very, very infrequently practiced part of the special teams, but this is called the hands team. This is where they put all the guys they think can catch the football better than anybody else. They put them out there, and they kick line shots at them all day long.
What a fun unit to be on.
Unless, of course, you realize that if
here comes Rodney Williams. Standing ovation. Here's an end around. And Clemson pulling all the tricks out of the bag as Doug Thomas takes it. Rodney Williams sprinted off the field a little bit too quickly. He didn't get to savor that moment.
Clemson taking a chance here, running the reverse late in the game. Doug Thomas making a good run, using his blockers well at the end of the play.
Rodney departs 13 of 26 for 192 yards. Remember, that's 50%, so he goes to 17-0-2. Morocco running the option. 17-0-2 when he completes 50% or better of his passes.
Well, I got to tell you an interesting story as Chris Morocco comes into the football game. How close do you think he and center Jeff Back are? Well, Jeff Back dates Chris Morocco's sister, and turnabout's fair play. Morocco dates Back's sister.
Well, they know each other anyway. There's Rodney Williams.
A little Peyton Place down in Clemson, South Carolina.
31 victories in his career as a starting quarterback. That's an ACC record. Under 3 minutes left. Joe Henderson getting his first action of the game at tailback, and he gets down to the 25. You get the feeling that the second team would like to punch one in before the end of the game.
Especially since South Carolina drove the football down and running on them and scored a field goal. Although it didn't make any big difference to the outcome of the game, there's a lot of pride down there on the field.
Charlie James now comes into the Clemson backfield, number 43, along with Gary Cooper, number 25. He replaces Ricardo Hooper. We approach the 2-minute mark. 3rd down and 1 for the Tigers. First man through is McFadden. He has the first down. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank A.J. Keene, our stage manager, Ginger Littlejohn, our spotter, who's done a wonderful job for us each week here at Clemson, Richard Simmons, our statistician. Thanks to all of those folks for helping us. And we want to thank everyone with Jefferson Pilot for this wonderful season, and all of the ACC schools, the sports information directors who've been there week in and week out to help us along with our preparation. Ben, it's been my pleasure working with you. Quasia Starr, our producer. Mike Reardon, who directed most of the games for us this year. Jim Dusher came in and directed today. So everyone has chipped in and helped out as you see McFadden going for the end zone. And, of course, our executive producer, Jimmy Rayburn. We thank him for the opportunity. Gene Corrigan, the commissioner of the ACC.
John LaCrone, assistant commissioner. Can't forget him.
Of course, Bradley Fairclough, the supervisor of ACC officials. Everybody lending a helping hand as we've brought you ACC football this season. North Carolina State defeats Pitt. Another leg up for the ACC in national recognition. And NC State headed to the Peach Bowl. A lot of the people that, of course, help us that you never hear their names mentioned. Some back in the studio, just some in the offices, getting our travel coordinated. So everybody throws a helping hand. And, of course, my friend the Rocket, Rick Baker, here this afternoon to work on graphics for us. Haven't seen the Rocket in a while. He's a well-traveled man. Down under a minute now as Clemson keeps punching away.
Well, you know,
Tony Kennedy this time.
Kevin, now that we got a little time towards the end of the season, I'd like to tell you how much I enjoyed working with you and the crew here at JP. I had a great time, as I hope most of you all did out in the audience, doing the ACC football games this year. It has been a great time.
It has really been fun. A lot of good football played before our cameras this season. We brought you the unfolding story at Duke. We culminated it with the championship game last week at Maryland, between Clemson and Maryland. Some great unsung heroes that have played before our cameras this year. Morocco trying to carry it in to add an exclamation point to this victory, but he won't get in, and it'll bring up 4th down with 22 seconds remaining.
That should be the last play of this game.
Joe Morrison's team will apparently play in the Liberty Bowl. That is the word we have. The Liberty Bowl scouts are here to extend the invitation after the game. Danny Ford heads to the Florida Citrus Bowl. 9th victory of the year for Clemson, and they defeat South Carolina in the 86th renewal of this great rivalry. Final score is 29-10. It was really never in doubt as Clemson dominated from the opening kickoff. And what a final 3 games for this season. And there's a concerned man, Danny Ford, being escorted off as he will head to Gadsden, Alabama, where his mother is reported to be in stable condition after suffering the heart attack last night. And we wish them both very well. Rodney Williams, what a great finish to his career.
Two of South Carolina's finest right there. Rodney Williams with 31 victories in his career. Pat him on the back.
Let's go down to Chris Allen down on the field. He has Coach Ford. Chris.
Ford, congratulations. The last 2 years it's been tough for this one, and you finally did it to South Carolina.
Well, our guys played very well. And played well defensively except for one long pass. Offense blocked a lot better than they did last year, and they're a very fine football team in South Carolina, and we just took it at the win. A good year for us. 9 wins, and we're going to Citrus Bowl, so we're happy.
The fans want to wish you the best on your trip to Alabama. They know what's going on, and good luck to you. Okay. That is it from Danny Ford on the field.
What a class act to stop by when you know he's got other things on his mind. We'll return to Death Valley after this from your local ACC station. South Carolina 29-10. Let's now go down to the field and Chris Allen.
Well, thank you very much. Just a final comment from down here. Clemson had been 1-1-1 as far as the seniors go from both teams actually over the last 3 years of this contest. So Clemson, as far as seniors go, at least get the edge this time. But as I mentioned earlier, a lot of seniors on that Clemson team and a lot less of the South Carolina team. So see what happens next year. It's been good working with you all this year. Thank you.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. And for Ben Bennett, I'm Kevin Slayton saying so long from Death Valley, where the Tigers defeat the Gamecocks 29-10 here this afternoon. So long from everybody at Jefferson Pilot.